I'll mute my mic, gents.
It is. It's podcast day. We're excited. We're digging out there. What have we got? Ooh, yeah.
Dude, it's fucking podcast day.
Takes you back to that time of when you remember what you were doing when you first listened to that album, or
What is going on, you champions? That's right. Yes.
What up?
Podcast day. Two dudes talk music. Yes, and stew. I've been stewing on this shit all day.
What is going on?
Yes.
It's that time. It's that time. Podcast time. Yeah, spill the beans, man. Spill the beans. We want it. We want this. The exclusive
Yeah,
details.
Hey, how are we doing? It's podcast day.
Yeah, let's crack it.
Hey.
Cheers, buddy.
Nice one. Yeah, I'll go on. Cheers. How you been?
Oh, I've been good, buddy. Been good. Been real good. Got to listen to a little bit of the new Cypress Hill album today that I haven't listened to yet.
Oh, they got a new album.
Yeah, they released one this year. It came out, I think it was like a month or two ago.
All right, I'll have to check that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's giving me some of them old school vibes. It was a nice ride on the way home.
Nice, man. That's pretty good.
What about you?
So, I've been okay, man. I've been all right. Just doing a lot of stuff. Been pretty busy this week preparing for the upcoming shows. We got the Skunk Bone Halloween Bright Night Fest thing next Saturday, so that's good. That one's coming up. That's at Redcliffe. Tribe Clubhouse. There's still tickets available to that if anyone's looking for it. Definitely go. There'll be links and stuff from our page. So it's Halloween stuff. It's costumes. It's all that good business. So make sure you get on that one. And obviously, you know, the Nuclear Vision shows we've got coming up and prepping for the work. You know, going down to Sydney to see the Tensions boys and stuff. It's all kicking off. So I'm really sort of burning the candle at both ends a little bit right now, but it'll be worth it.
Live life,
It'll be
bro.
worth it in the end. Mate, we
That's
got
what it's all
some. I know we don't normally. I know we kind of moved away from doing news on the podcast, but this is a big one, guys. This is a big one.
All right. So
if you haven't seen it yet, Slipknot have dropped a teaser for something coming to Australia in 2023. You got the video ready to run?
Okay,
dude?
hold on. I had it on a different screen because I thought we'd announce it with the other person. But just give me 2 seconds.
Let's do it.
I will.
We're gonna set this up. So basically, we'll play the video in a sec, but it shows a giant tent, and then kind of the outline of Australia flashing in the background, and then it says "coming soon." The thing, if you go to, I think it was not.co/Australia. There was
Okay. It's right in front of you now. It's blocking you out. We're gonna make it big.
That's fine.
All right, let's do it. Full screen it, and then we'll play it.
Yeah, play it.
Okay.
All
All right. Let's just make this disappear. Let's just give us 2 seconds. Sorry. This was just all done on the fly. Okay, we're back. We're back.
Okay, so yeah, if you go to knot1.co/Australia, you can sign up to a mailing list. I'm sure they're going to send emails out about stuff. Now, this is exciting, right? This is exciting because if it's a tour, surely they would just announce the tour. So I'm wondering if it might be Knotfest Australia.
This is exactly what I was thinking.
So keep an eye on that one. If you're interested in that, go sign up on the mailing list. Check out all the stuff. We're excited about it. We'll keep an eye out on it. Any news comes out, we'll push it out on the page as well. This is exciting. This is really, really exciting.
Fucking
if they
hope
do
it
run
is.
it, I hope they throw some local talent on there as well.
They have to.
But I tell you what, if we can have Knotfest Australia, that'll be. I think we'd be pretty stoked about that. So,
And especially
yeah,
after how good that last album was. Yeah.
mate,
Hey, I'm picking up that ball and running with it. I love it.
Have a word with yourself, okay? Have a word with
I
yourself.
love it. It's not me. It's the teenage me that's fallen in love with it.
Okay, yeah, all right. So look, let's get to our esteemed guest for today.
All right.
This is a man that I think just about everyone in the Queensland metal scene knows or has had some kind of encounter with. And if you don't, even if you're outside of Queensland but you're in the metal scene, you might have heard of him. This is a guy who has drummed for some very, very in cool bands, very interesting bands. He used to play drums for Nuclear Vision. He is now working with New Zealand fucking juggernauts KAOSIS, doing all sorts of incredible stuff. Mate, it's the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend himself, CJ.
How are you, boys?
Good.
Dude.
How you doing, brother?
Oh man, I don't know if I can live up to an intro that good, man. You're too kind.
No, every word is true. Every word is absolutely true.
I appreciate it, boys. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. Like, you're someone that we've wanted to get on the podcast for a little while now as well. And thank you for coming on for our 10th episode.
Yeah, man, you're the double digit.
10. We're
Jeez.
special guests. We wanted someone special for it, so we thought, who better?
We'll make it a cracker, man. We'll make it a good one today.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned there, you have been in the Queensland metal scene for a while now. You've worked with a number of different bands. You've been all over the shop. Just brief for those who for the 5 people who may not know who you are. Bit of a rundown. Like, give us a bit of your history, your background.
Sure.
What you've done, just some of your notable stuff. Brag. This is your chance to brag, my friend.
Oh God. Okay.
The
Well,
resume.
I hate talking about myself, but there's a lot of resume shit that I'm sure people don't know. So before I was a drummer, I was a classical percussionist. God. Okay. So metal bands that people would know that I played in back in the day. I used to play in a band called Dissolution. I did a couple of shows for A Breach of Silence when they lost Styx for a couple of shows. Nuclear Vision, Disgust, Chaosis, Piston Fist, Symbolic Weapon. The last 3 are the ones that I play with now. Outside of that, I'm a full member of a Swiss Gugge band called Schlossgai Schranzer from Landsberg. So I go over there once a year for about 2.5 weeks and go tour in carnival season. On top of that too, I do a lot of street marching stuff with a lot of brass bands. I've competed a lot with a lot of classical music, more particularly brass band stuff, and yeah, just try and get my hands on as many different things as possible.
That's incredible, man. Even then, there's so much of that stuff that I was like, I had no fucking clue about a lot of
Wow.
Most people don't, dude. Most people don't. It's
Your reputation really does precede itself, my friend. I'm sorry. Jeez, Lou, you undersell yourself.
Probably, man. Probably.
By the way, if you're out there in the chat, you're watching, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you've got any questions for us or for CJ here, throw them in the chat. We'll get to them when we can. Absolutely.
I'll put a disclaimer on this episode. If there's any questions ever, I'll answer them 100% honestly, even if it comes back to bite me in the ass.
No, well, hey, that's fine. That's what we want. Paradox Alien, how you
What's
doing,
up,
my brother?
boy?
That's Zach.
What's up, bro?
That's Zach.
I love it. I love it.
But so, man, I can tell you what. Like, when we, when hearing the stuff that, like I said, you listed so many things there, and I've only heard a very limited number of them. Most of what I'm familiar with from what you've done is with Nuclear Vision, because obviously, like, now Zach and myself are involved with that. And like, I'm sure Zach's told you as well, like, it's stepping into the shoes of someone that is an incredibly talented musician. It's daunting. It can be daunting there for sure.
Absolutely, dude. I've had to do it myself many times, and I'm still having to do it, like, recently.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? Like, it's. I think that's where someone that's been involved with a lot of projects like yourself, obviously, yeah, you will have stepped into the shoes of some people that have done incredible work before you have arrived on the scene, and it can be quite daunting to step into that. How do you sort of process that? How do you deal with those sort of concerns when you're coming into a role like that?
I guess to talk recently, probably the best example was actually when I joined Piston Fist. And it was kind of like, I don't know how to put this, but it's kind of like a funny way of like how the scene intertwines with people and how small the scene actually like really is. So, obviously had played many shows with Disgust and Piston Fist were like always kind of with us for a while there, you know.
Yep.
And I know they went through a couple of drummers, and then they got a dude called Damo. Now he used to play drums in a band called Last 9 Days before he joined Piston Fist, and the guitarist from Last 9 Days was the guitarist vocalist of Dissolution, which was like my second metal band ever when I was like 19 and joined that. And I hadn't seen Matt, the guitarist, for years. So anyway, we were the night I met Damo was when Disgust was main support to Thy Art Is Murder, and got chatting with Damo, the drummer, because he was out in the smoking area. So I was having a smoke with him, and just got chatting, and then it was like, hold on, fuck, wait, you played with Last 9 Days, you know Matty Devoy, and straight away instantly made that connection. So cut to like a year later, when unfortunately he had to step down, he had to have like a big knee operation and all that kind of stuff. And stepping into his shoes to play his parts, especially the stuff that they've got unreleased that's coming up. At first I was like, oh, it shouldn't be too hard. And then listening to like the intricacies of his part was ridiculous. The dude is like one of the most musical drummers, and not in a sense of, obviously there's not really melodic, there's not a melodic element to our instrument, but his phrasing and the way that he would write his parts to me was very musical. And stepping into that to learn those parts, I think daunting was the wrong word, but the thing was, is like his parts fit so well. I almost felt like in some ways it was an injustice to not play them exactly the way that he wrote them on the album. But then at the same time, it's like, well, I don't want to go in and be a second-rate version of someone else. I want to be the first and best version I can be stepping into
definitely.
it. So it was kind of like having to figure out what parts fit well that he did that I really enjoyed, and then what parts can I add my own flavor to without completely shitting on what he had done too. So, you know, it was a fine blend between the two, and I guess it was really trying to do the song justice, but also understanding that they brought me in to be my own entity for a reason too. You know, and again, yeah, to not be a second-rate version of Damo, but to be a first-rate version of myself. Obviously playing Damo's parts, but trying to be the best that I can with it. And yeah, there were some parts where I was learning it going, this is actually fucking hard. You know, like now I'm a lot more comfortable with it, having a few shows under my belt and quite a few rehearsals now, but fuck, at the time of learning some of it, I was just like, dude, this is fucked. You know, and I think a big element of it too is that, like, especially when someone, like, I could imagine Zach, and I've spoke to Zach about this, I think at Moondall, I think was when you guys played as well. I got to have a brief chat with Zach, and he was just kind of like, dude, I don't know how to play these parts, or these parts are really hard, you know? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's fine, but like, you don't have to play it the way that I've played it. And I can understand from the other side too that it's daunting, because it's like, I was such a big integral part of what Nuclear was. Like, it's my baby. Me and Brad started that, you know, from the get-go. And to come to the point where I step away, anyone that's going to step in there is going to feel some form of a shadow that they've got to kind of step out of. And that only takes time, but it's just like, don't be concerned about what I did. Be more focused on what you want to do, because it's like, there will always be my material in Nuclear, but there's always also going to be new shit. And I'm not going to really be a part of that, you know? Like, I'll always be there to chat with the boys. I talk to Brad at least 3 times a fucking week on the phone. You know, somewhere he's slightly intoxicated, somewhere, you know, he's a little bit dusty, and then there are some times where he's, you know, very much cold sober. But I don't know. I think it's a tough thing where it's just like, yeah, I think it's like trying not to be too daunted about what was. That you're obviously a part of the project for a reason. Like, nobody just joins a band because they find you and they don't know anything about you. You know, people get brought on for a reason, and it's like, have faith that the people around you believe in your own abilities, and take that and believe in yourself in the same way that the other people in the band believe around you, I guess is the best way I can give advice to that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I 100% agree with, you know, everything you talked about there. I mean, it's, yeah, stepping into someone else's shoes can be a very, very big task, and having confidence in yourself while also knowing when to remain humble is I think striking that balance is probably what's most important for those.
You have to have an element of humbleness to you, because it's like, sometimes, yeah, you can overstep a mark and you can play something that the other dudes are like, nah, fuck that, don't do that. You know, and you have to have an element where you're like, yeah, cool, I didn't write this material, you know, and I do want to do my own thing, but, you know, it's also respecting the dudes around you, and, you know, stepping into any project, if you don't have respect for what came before, you're not going to fucking last in that band. You're going to get ousted so fucking quickly, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, could you imagine if Jay Weinberg went into fucking Slipknot, was just like, look, guys, I love Joey's double kick stuff, but I feel like I want to do a swing pattern here. Like, they would look at him and be like, get fucked. See you
Yeah.
later, man.
There still
You
has
know?
to be that essence of what was. And you have to
Yeah.
make it what is. And I mean, really, it comes down to key pivotal parts in songs and stuff like that. You have a look at what happened with Korn when David was axed and they got in Ray. And you watch him play his drum parts. Yeah, to an extent, they're the same, but they're so different if you really know the stuff. But it does it justice.
Absolutely.
The theory's there, but the technique's a bit different.
I feel like it's the part of like any band when you get a new member, it's the evolution that member brings to it, you know? Like Ray took what was there and he's a beast fucking drummer and
So
like,
much
one of
better than
the
David.
Yeah, oh yeah, but see the thing is David was raw as fuck back in the day. That's
He's
what made
too
Korn
good for Korn. Ray was too good for Korn.
He elevated them.
He did.
Like the thing is, I never got to see Korn with David. I only ever saw him with Ray, but I've seen Korn about 3 or 4 times now. And every time I saw them, their stage show elevated to another level,
Yeah.
to another level. And it's like, it's amazing what one member in a band can do to that. They can help elevate that band.
Yeah.
And it's not, again, like the same example is like Piston Fist. Like, I love Wade. I love Sammy when he was drumming in there. They were the only 2 dudes I knew beforehand. They had their own flavors and stuff, and they were doing really, really good. But when Damo joined Piston Fist and I saw them for the first time, I was just like, holy shit, this is another level. And all it takes is one dude to just like take a good band and make it a great band, you know? And I feel like Ray was already in it. Like, he joined a great band and he made a great band into like,
An
I
even
don't know,
better band.
metal folklore now.
Yeah,
I guess
they
is the best
are
way
in
to
a
put it,
sense, yeah.
you know? Yeah.
It was enough to
So,
bring sort of head back and do
Office
all that
Jesus
stuff.
trip or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was a fun thing. I've got to get that book.
Yeah, it's a weird read, man. Like, I'll only ever read it once. That's all I'll
Oh,
say.
okay.
But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did.
So, I mean, let's go sort of back a few years there as well. So you obviously you knew Brad from before Nuclear Vision was a
Well
thing,
and truly.
right?
Yeah.
So you guys knew each other for ages. You know, you guys were talking about putting something together, and I guess Nuclear Vision kind of became this almost like a super group, as much as a local guys can be a super group, I guess. So
Yeah,
you know,
I
dudes
guess it was.
from different kind of bands in there together, from different bands, and just went, all right, we're gonna make this fucking powerhouse, and straight out the gate, you know, big shows. Obviously, you know, had the Combi Christ support as well, fairly early in the things.
No,
I think
actually,
it was,
pretty
or-
late in the picture, if
Oh,
I'm honest.
yeah?
Like, yeah, that was within like my last 6 months of the band.
Okay.
Being it is when we had
Okay.
that. That was like such a.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
fuck.
Sorry,
We'll,
that's where I got
we'll get
confused.
to that.
So the early days
Yeah.
was early couple of shows was like Super Heist and King Parrot, I believe, is something. Is
She
that right?
Cries Wolf as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Those
God.
those are some big fucking Aussie bands to be
Fucking
in the fucking connections with, like Super Heist. Like, I remember Super Heist when they launched shit back in the day when Bullet came out. That shit was that I was on that fucking shit. Like, that was, you know, I had the single. It was just constantly fucking playing. Like, probably pissed my parents off with it, to be honest.
Ain't no
And
probable there, mate. You definitely did.
yeah, and then, you know, and when they sort of reformed and started doing shit, I was gobsmacked. I was blown away with that, and I got to, I think maybe Zach can refresh my memory on this one. I think Acid Nymph played a show in Canberra that Super Heist was. There was like a festival kind of show at the basement in Canberra, and Super Heist was the main act for it, which was incredible. Like, to see them, because I obviously never got to see them back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And so that was amazing to be able to do that. But like I said, you know, for you guys to be right out of the gate with those kind of shows that's no small feat. And
It was. I think a lot of it was like a lot of luck and a lot of like, if I'm really honest, a lot of it came down to Brad's connections. Because at that point, like, I think straight
Knowing
off
the
the
right
gate,
people.
in a lot of ways, yeah, it was knowing the right people, but it was also trying to handle our shit the best way we could. And I think before I like continue talking about anything with Nuclear, is like that's the band that I can say got me to where I am today. You know, Brad especially being where I was in the scene at the time and the kind of person I was then, it's a very naive kind of person, not really understanding how the scene worked, kind of not even how it worked, but just kind of like having this idea in my head that was so far different to what it actually was. You know, not knowing enough people to the people that I know now, you know. So really when we got those two shows, that was all off of Brad's back. Like that had nothing to do with anyone else apart from Brad. And that came to a lot of the shit that he'd done previously with Messiah, and the people that he'd met and the connections he'd made through that. And he slugged his ass off with that band for close to 10 fucking years as well, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of luck, but it was also like, I think some of the dudes in the band didn't understand who the fuck some of these people were. So I think some of them are just like, oh, cool. And like to me, is like a first show getting to play with Super Heist. I was young and I
Yeah.
remember seeing Bullet on fucking Rage back in the day, and
Yeah.
I was like not even fucking double digits in fucking age, man, you know. And I was like secretly like turning the volume down and sitting right up in front of the TV because my parents didn't like fucking heavy metal music, so it's like trying to sneak it and hide it and just you know hope I didn't cop an earful from him, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like it was fucking surreal, man. And there was a funny story because I'd obviously never met any of the dudes in Super Heist, and I'd never met Zeke, and I was a big Mammal fan too, because Mammal is fucking like God. Again, like in another way, they're very much up there, the same level as Super Heist. And Zeke was playing in Super Heist at that time, and met all the other dudes. They were super nice, super friendly, and Zeke came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, how's the family going?" Like as if he knew who I was. I just played along with it for like the whole time I was talking with him. I'm just like, "Yeah, the kids are good, man. I don't have kids, you know. I don't have a wife at that point."
Oh
You
no.
know? But he was super nice. Like everyone else, he was just kind of like, hey, how you going? And then went out of his way to come chat with me and was like, how's the new album going? I'm like, yeah, great, dude. Like I had no idea who the fuck he thought I was. And he didn't even mention like what band he thought I was from, but he did.
Oh no.
Wow.
Unbeknownst, I've been waiting to meet him again to actually tell him that, but he probably won't remember me because at the time, like, I didn't have dreadlocks. You know, my hair was much shorter. You know, I was a much bigger guy at the time too, so he might have had me confused with someone else. But yeah, funny little super heist story with that. But yeah, dude, those shows were fucking surreal, man. It was like that one was insane. To get to see a Caliber act that much, not only on the stage but off the stage, was fucking dope. Getting to meet DW, which is like a local legend, I guess, in a lot of ways, like a local hero. You know, and then to follow up literally 2 weeks later at the exact same venue to have Holistic at the time, rest in peace, Steve. She Cries Wolf, us, someone else. It was a 5 bill band. I can't remember the other one, and then obviously King Parrot. And getting to open for King Parrot, which really is kind of like a staple that like any band in Australia wants to be able to say they've got on their resume. You
Well, that
know,
would have been
so
around the time they were really like powering up, right? Like when they kind of were
yeah.
just exploding in popularity and
When was it?
Wasn't
They
it when Phil and
maybe
Insomnio done that video clip with them?
maybe a little
It was
maybe a little later
past
actually because
that.
they
It was
kind of
past that.
they kind of exploded what like about 9 or 10 years ago they really kind of
Yeah,
really
10,
blew up
10 years ago, because it's
and
the 10-year
then
anniversary of Bite Your Head Off.
yeah so
Yeah.
that was okay, so that would have been a few years after that at least, but
Yeah, I remember that's when they came out and they played Piss Wreck for the first time. They were just finishing up everything for the Ugly Produce album. So that was not too far away with that, actually. If my memory is what it is, and it's pretty good these days, I'm pretty sober, so I can remember. But yeah, that was insane. That was the show. If you go look up Nuclear Vision on YouTube, I remember those two shows I ran. I was just making stupid gig videos. And at the time, I was living in Melbourne, and I was just about to move back because Nuclear was taken back off again, and just shit wasn't working out in Melbourne. And there was a mate of mine in Melbourne that was a really big Super Heist fan. So, like, I went up to all the Super Heist dudes and was just like, instead of asking him to be like, hey, can you just shout out my friend Rory and blah, 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 I'm like, just fucking destroy the cunt. Just like take the piss out of him, like get angry at him and be like, why aren't you here, bro? I don't give a fuck if you're in Melbourne, man. If you're a fan of Super Heights, you should fucking be here, like, right now, cunt. You know, and everyone fucking tore him a new asshole except for Zeke. Zeke is like, I will never fucking ever insult a fan. And I'm like, that's fair. Went to Kira, the bass player. He's like, fuck, you cunt. Why aren't you fucking here? I'm like, yeah. And it just rolled on. It was a thing for about the next 6 shows or 7 shows after that. I did videos like that. And we got so many people. And they didn't even know who the fuck Rory was. But it was just like some of the insults were just fucking incredible. But anyway, yeah, those shows were amazing, dude. Just to get to see those people and meet them. It was fucking incredible, bro.
Nice, nice. And then, sort of moving on from that, you moved on from Nuclear Vision to do Disgust, was it? Was that the next
Correct.
step after that? And how
Correct.
did you, are you still with Disgust or are you not anymore?
No, it's been about a year since I parted ways with those boys.
And
yeah.
tell us a bit about your time with Disgust. Like, how's that sort of came
That
about
was-
and
that was like-
what you did with those guys?
Yeah, so with Disgust, I think a bit of backstory quickly with that is like when I joined, when I left Nuclear, I was moving down to the Gold Coast to be with my now fiance, and at the time they were obviously rehearsing up the Sunny Coast, and I was already traveling from Southside Logan up there every weekend to jam with them. And I'd done it for about 6 or 7 years. And in that time, Nuclear had grown ridiculously. Like, it was a lot of hustle from me and Brad. There were a lot of ups. There were definitely a lot of downs. But, you know, it kind of got to the point where it felt like it was the right time for me to step away from that band. You know, and I needed to move on. I needed to move on to something that was a bit more closer to home, you know, where it wasn't like taking 2-3 hours to just get up for a 3-hour rehearsal to come back, where it takes up like a full day, you know. And I've been doing that for a long time, and it kind of just felt like it was the right time to step away. I know Disgust basically had split up, and I'd been talking with Bones for a little bit to actually start something up, because he was basically like, I think Disgust is over, blah, 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 blah. Then get the call from Bones where he basically was like, no, we want to re-bring Disgust back up. Do you want to come be a part of it? And I was like, yeah, let's go, you know. I think those two in particular, because for Bo and Bones, that was their baby, especially particularly Bones. That was his baby, same as like Nuclear was for Brad. So I think they used it as a big chance to like take a step back to take 3 steps forward in a lot of ways. And from a lot of the people that I had met, and from a lot of the shit that I learned from just sitting back and watching Brad and how he handled his shit, was what I brought to the table in a lot of ways. And it basically turned into me essentially managing the band, organizing like the majority, like all the photo shoots, organizing, like I shot and edited one of the videos, you know, to working with Chris Peters, who is managing them. I don't know if he still is or not now. But, you know, working with him to help book tours and try and push forward, and doing all the marketing, the press release, the promo, all of that kind of shit. So we kind of use that as a, well, if you guys are coming back and if I'm joining, I'm not joining this half-assed. If we're going to go, we're going to go. If you guys want to keep doing what you were doing beforehand, that's fine. I'm not particularly interested in that. It was either like, if I'm joining, we go hard. If we're not, I'm going home.
No,
you know,
mate. Well, there's no point in hanging your cocks out and pissing in the wind, eh? If
Well,
you know,
no, but
if you know
I
you
think-
got the goods, bring it to the table and let's go.
Well, look, I know they're a talented band and they wrote some really good songs even before I joined. But the thing for me is, it's like, by that point, with the pace of where Nuclear was, and this happened like right around when COVID hit too. I was on tour in Switzerland, and like, I know other bands have their own pace that they work at, and they like to work, you know, a little bit slower, or not as fast is probably a better way to put it. Slow is definitely the wrong word to use. But I said, I'm like, look, I'm still hungry as fuck. And if I didn't choose to move down the Gold Coast, this is how fast me and Brad would be pushing now. So it's like, I want to take that fire and move with that. This is where we want to go. Let's go. If not, I don't think I'm the right guy to fit the mold as to what you guys want to achieve as a band. No hard feelings, you know. And that's what it turned into. We hit the ground running during COVID. We played Far North Queensland twice. We did a couple of runs down south. We got to open for some pretty fucking big bands. Got to run our own shows. We had some pretty successful and good singles as well, and copped a lot of hate. I guess in a lot of ways too for being the old Slipknot rip-off thing and all of that kind of shit. And
So like, anyone that wears any band that wears masks is a Slipknot ripoff, despite the fact that Slipknot were not the first metal band to wear masks.
Slipknot or Gua ripoff.
But
Gua just were the ugly, disgusting versions of Kiss at the end of the day.
Exactly. Like,
that's it. It's like if your sound is not ripping off Slipknot, you're not a Slipknot ripoff band.
Yeah,
Simple
exactly.
as that.
No, I just feel like their fans are assholes. Like, I'm sorry, but there's like that die-hard cult following of Slipknot fans.
yeah, but that's their extent of metal. They don't go any harder. They don't venture outside of that realm. It's like, are you a metalhead? Like, who's your favorite metal band? If someone says, "Oh, Slipknot's my favorite," it's like, you're gonna have to give me more than that, Chief.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to at least throw like at least something else out there. Otherwise, yeah, okay, you like rock and roll.
It's the Slipknot fans that make it their whole personality, like a lot of Slayer fans. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
they go-
yeah.
yeah.
The ones that like that's everything and they can do no wrong and yeah. So no, I get it.
So yeah, look, we copped a lot of
Yeah.
hate. Like, I'll be real. The single that got us the most hate was "Cutthroat," as it was viewed to be very Slipknotty. And to be honest, I never heard the Slipknot comparison. Like, especially since leaving, a lot of people like, "Oh, this sounded so much like this and that," and I never heard it. I heard so many other different bands that weren't Slipknot in that band and what we were trying to do. So, you know, but yeah, we did some awesome stuff, and then. In all honesty, and the reality of me stepping away from that band was there were a couple internal things that were kind of going on at the time, but more of the pressing stuff was I had a very unhealthy relationship between balancing personal life, music, and work. And I felt like music and work just always would take over personal time, looking after myself. So I had to take a step away and work on myself after that. And I didn't feel like it was fair to be a part of that band when I had such a significant role to just be in the band but not do anything. I felt like it would just not be fair on the other dudes that were in that. And truth be told, like, I left that band. I said, look, man, all the money that I have in the kitty, keep it. You know, all of these plane tickets that I've got for these tours that were coming up at the time, I'm like, use it for the next dude so that he's not, you know, significantly joining a band where he has to, like, you know, cough up anywhere between $500 to $1,000 just to be able to do what's coming up. Like, keep that shit. Anything you boys need, let me know. You know, like, this is still very much like I might be a stepdad to this band, but it's still my child in a lot of ways. I invested a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and money and fucking injured ourselves like crazy and you know, stressful, sleepless nights and fucking all that kind of shit. So, we did a lot with Disgust, man. That was the band where, if I look back on my career, that was the band that I put everything I learned from Brad and Nuclear into my own way of doing it. And that's a big part of like what has turned Disgust into the monster that it is now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's awesome you're able to bring that, and they're definitely. I have not had the opportunity to see them live as yet. However, I am hoping that will change soon. But you know, from all intents of everything I've seen, they seem quite the powerhouse band. We've actually got, I think we got Bo on the podcast next week for our special Halloween episode.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, plug
Yeah,
that
buddy.
now.
Yeah.
Tell him I said g'day.
Halloween episode coming up next
that'll
week.
be
I know
good.
normally we wouldn't do it, it's only fortnightly, but it's Halloween, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
100%.
Gotta make
make
it
a
special,
bit
man.
spooky,
And just
make it a bit spooky in here. And yeah, Kyle, I think I know what you're gonna say there. So
dude,
you
a
get
quick
started.
one to Daddy Frank. Thank you for jumping in on the chat. And Kai the Blind 95, thank you very much for the follow.
Saloon.
We appreciate it, bro.
We absolutely do appreciate it. All the love.
We really do.
Right. So, obviously, KAOSIS.
Yes.
Wow, I was vibing that shit today, man.
Now I saw
were listening.
KAOSIS in Sydney. It was a few years ago now. It was before, like, obviously before COVID was a thing. But like when it was at the venue, I'm pretty sure it was Crowbar Sydney by that stage. And let me tell you, mate, when I walked into that room and they were playing, I had I was so overwhelmed by everything that was going on. Like, if you've not, okay, for those watching, if you've never seen this band, it's this weird, like, metal, rap, dubstep hybrid thing with, like, 6 or 7 people on stage. They got extra lights and laser light show shit. And it is such an intense experience. After a couple of songs, when I'd been able to adjust and be like, all right, cool, this is the vibe, I was like, all right, yep, I'm completely on board with it now. Let's go.
Yeah.
But like, just absolutely mind blowing live shows from that time that I saw them, and I've been a fan ever since. Very, very keen for these upcoming shows that are happening next month, which we will talk about very soon. But how? Yeah. So again, let's take this next step in your journey. Then, how did you come to meet those guys? How did you come to join that band? How have you found the experience of working with that band? On, like, obviously they're based in New Zealand. How do you find that for rehearsals or for preparing yourself for shows? All that sort of business. Give us the goss.
All right, there's a lot to unpack in that one. I think the best place to start with all of that was I met them through Nuclear. Same as discussed. Like, anything that is where I am now is because of that band and because of Brad. I can't say that or stress that enough.
Brad.
You know, I fucking love him. He is my brother. Like,
He's
we
the
used to
man.
say, like, I was his son. He used to, you know, say that shit, and now it's like brothers. You know, some people still think we're actually related. I'll tell you now, we're not. But anyway,
Well, I mean, you know, it's the blonde dreads and goatee and
it's the ginge. It's a tinge of the ginge with some long fucking dreads.
Tinge of the
Yeah.
ginge. I like that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
good one. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, and then we when I met KAOSIS, and I have to admit, like, I was a fan of the band before I joined them. Same as discussed, very much so. And when I met them was Psycho Circus. Fuck, I can't even remember what year it was. It was basically the last show I played. It was the last show that Tai Sui played as Tai Sui, who are now Sin Soto, and it was the last show with that lineup for Nuclear as well, and that had discussed on it as well. Obviously, Dark Cell because it was their festival, and KAOSIS. And I remember getting there, and KAOSIS had just come off their Japan tour, and got to Australia, and that would have been the day before you would have seen them down in Sydney, down in Crowbar. Because I'm pretty sure that would have been for
Possibly.
Psycho. So yeah, probably would have been. And anyway, yeah, I remember they lost a keyboard stand, and no one else in the venue had one. No one even at home did, apart from me. So I remember me and Chris Peters, a heavy mag, jumped in his car, drove all the way there in peak hour traffic to drive all the way back, for me to have 10 minutes to prepare and then jump on stage, just to get them a keyboard stand for their show. And Joel was super appreciative. They were like some of the funniest fucking dudes I'd ever met. Just genuinely nice people, and didn't really know what to expect because I'd listened to the album before I'd seen them, and there were a couple of tracks that I'm like, this is dope, this is cool. Then it was like when they just stepped on stage, it was like, holy fuck, what? It's just sensory overload of just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this? So
That's
cut
exactly
to
right. Sensory overload is 100%
Yeah.
the correct term for the first time you see them. Like, the amount of stuff they've got going on all at once is
Yeah.
very, very overwhelming.
but not in like a Clockwork Orange kind of way where your eyes are like this and they're showing you all these like fucked up images and shit. It's like, no, it's like, it's awesome. You're just like, you're so drawn to what the fuck it is. So
It's like the
Anyway,
opening
I
scene of Blade when they walk down into
It's a
that
spectacle.
underground bit.
yeah, but except with better CGI.
Yeah.
Let's be real. It's dated these
Hey,
days. I still
for
love that
its
movie.
time-
Don't
for
get me
its
wrong.
time, it was boss.
Yeah, I know. I still remember being as a kid, just being like, "Oh my god, this is the best shit." You watch it now, and you're like, "Dude, I could drag clip art better from fucking Microsoft Word into this shit right now." You know?
It's funny because it's
Oh.
true. It's so true.
Yeah, but anyway, I stayed in touch with Joel, but just because he seemed like a just a good dude, you know, that's someone I just wanted to stay in touch with. So I talked to him like every couple of months, just fling him a message, and I talked to him a lot. I was gonna jump on stage with them in Moondole not this year, but last year I was just going to jump up just for some fun or whatever, because they're all about that kind of inclusiveness. If anyone wants to jump up, have fun, fucking do it. Didn't end up happening because of COVID. And there was a lot of like flight issues and trying to book their tour and all. There was just a whole bunch of logistical nightmares with that shit. And anyway, I left Disgust, and for anyone that doesn't know too, I get drum lessons off Ryan Van Pooteroyen from Devon Townsend Project, and I also get like a lot of like life coaching and business coaching from him, and he's also turned into a really good friend as well. And I was chatting with him after it because I was just in such a fucking just low place, just mentally not good, and all of that. And he was just like, dude, just put the sticks down for a month, just chill, make plans for where you want to go next, give yourself time to be healthy, start to look after yourself, catch up on sleep, and all this kind of shit. Then it literally hits the day after I'd picked the sticks back up. I start talking with Joel. He was having issues with the COVID vaccine for his last drummer. And basically was just like, hey, dude, do you want to jump in? You know, because I talked to him about like potentially booking him like a Queensland tour and a couple of other little things as well. Was just also talking about maybe going over to New Zealand for a weekend for shits and gigs to just play a show with them, just as a percussionist, just as for fun. You know, and we were all for it, and we just turned into really good buddies, you know, and yeah, it kind of like, it started the day of just like, how would you feel about playing drum kit at Moondole, to at the end of the day, after like numerous fucking messages being like, how would you feel about joining the band? And at the time, the only other thing that was going on in my mind about joining another band was like, if I'm gonna step to something else, because when I left Disgust, it was like it was literally like a powerhouse band. We would put on some of the most intense fucking live shows at the time. So I was like, if I'm stepping into another band, it's got to be at that next level. Like, I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice if I stepped into another band that wasn't at that level. You know, and that's no disrespect to anyone else, but I knew exactly where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, whether it meant I started my own project or I got approached by someone else, whatever the case was. And at the time, I was looking at starting up a hip hop group at the time. Not the one that Brad and I are also currently trying to do at the moment, but I actually really wanted to start up a band that was a hybrid between Primus and the Roots. Because at that point, I'd just gone so far away from metal, because it's like that's all I would do is play so many shows and just hear metal
Yeah,
like
yeah.
week in, week in, week out. And I was just so put off it, and I was like, nah, that's where I wanted to go. And then Joel approaches me, and I, of course, I'm going to say yes, because I'm like, I knew what the band was, I knew the dudes, I knew exactly like the level of professionalism and ability you have to do what they do. So then at that point, it was the waiting game for months, because I learned the parts. And at that point, there was no international travel, not even to New Zealand. So I was technically meant to go over there in February this year. Borders didn't open. Then we rebooked everything to April, and New Zealand had their own bullshit going on with COVID at the time too. So then going from rebooking to April to then Moondole, um, I had my first show with them on the Gold Coast that weekend of Moondole Festival this year. But it was meant to have a couple, so they only had one show. And at this point, too, Joel had been and still has like rebuilt the band from what it was when you guys would have last seen him as well. So it's completely new lineup apart from Dogma, the second vocalist. And he was playing percussion. I did play a percussion for that for a few shows.
That's the dude in the bulldog mask, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The pitbull terrier fucking
Yeah,
Diant Wood
yeah.
looking mask kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, yeah. So he's kind of rebuilt it back up from what it was, because again, like people's lives change, priorities change.
Yeah,
Where he
100%.
wanted to move,
And
it
look,
was very yeah.
a band like KAOSIS is you know, it's a machine that can run with different people. You know what I mean? Like you can have different people. You can even go, all right, look, we'll have basically session people, right? So if we're in, you know, this city, we've got people here that are going to play for us when we're in this city. And so not the whole band has to travel. You know, almost in a
Exactly.
way, you can almost work with a system like that for a band that size.
And that's the thing too with him is like, yeah, there are some shows where some members can't make it and it sucks, but it's like with such a, it's almost at the point where it's bordering on like not being in a band and almost being like a theatrical stage show with heavy metal and lights and shit. Because it's like, yeah, it sucks when one member's not there because we're one down in the family, but at the same time, it's like we can still do the show without it. You know, there's so many other
Yeah.
parts of it apart from this one person. You know, and yeah, I guess it was like it was really interesting to over that period in time. I think it was a good like 8 months that I sat on not being able to announce it because Joel was still working on this new album. He was working on the visuals of what the band was going to be, the stage show, all the different theatrics behind it. And I'm just sitting here sitting on it, and people are like, "What band are you doing now?" And I'm like, Nothing.
I can't
I don't
say
have a
Oh,
yeah.
band."
no.
You know, I couldn't even allude to the fact that there was a band. I'm just like, yeah, nothing. I'm just chilling, you know. And in the back of my head, I'm like, up at 6 a.m. jamming, like practicing fucking 7 till 9 to get these fucking parts down in the morning, you know. So there was a lot of behind the scenes shit that I just had, and still, like, I have to pick my words very carefully about what's coming up for KAOSIS because I cannot spoil a fucking thing. But there is some really awesome fucking things that are coming up that I have to keep my fucking mouth shut for.
Is it you can't even give us a tease?
I can't,
on
like, honestly,
anything?
it's not even my place to be able to
No,
give
that's
it to
okay.
you.
That's
You know what I
okay.
mean? Like,
Ca-
also,
ca-
I like being in Chaosis. I don't want to piss Joel off and jeopardize my role in that band. You know, so
Chaos will come on Beer Buddy. I have a habit of getting the.
Yeah.
Uh, you can try.
Everyone loose lip sync ships, man, and these loosen up lips a whole lot.
Well, Joel doesn't drink the same as me. I don't drink.
No, my power's gone.
I know. I was about to say sorry, man. I'm just taking your Horcrux away from you, bro.
Damn it.
Oh well, but no,
But
look,
yeah.
it's awesome. Like, and I'm, you know, look, I'll be honest, Moondole, that was a hell of a day. So was so much going on. You know, I didn't hang around unfortunately to catch Chaosis, but I am absolutely going to be happening at Kaiju Fest.
Oh,
And,
dude, jump up on
and
stage, be a
Monster Mash.
retard, pull your pants down, like.
No one wants to see that, my dude. No one wants to see that.
Everyone wants to see that.
Let's talk about these shows then. Let's talk about them. So you've been from my angle, you've organized these. Is that right? Like, or is it
Correct,
Chaos
yes.
has organized them and you're sort of their arm for here or how's that kind of come about?
Well, the last time it came around, they came out here. Um, Basically, Joel was like, we need to have another show. You know, we were trying to organize another 2 shows. We were trying to organize one on the Thursday night. Tried a few different places. Just logistically, just was going to just turn into a money pit and not worth our time. So we're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
We'll do the Gold Coast show. And basically, that's where I was like, okay, I'll book the Gold Coast show. You know, and just did as much as I could to make it work. We were only like 20 tickets away from like selling out, which was fucking great. But it was a lot of legwork. And then it was like after that, Joel obviously knows, and a lot of people I think they in some ways know that I do a lot of show bookings from time to time for different bands and all that kind of stuff like that. So we were planning this shit while I was in New Zealand the first time. And basically was like staying at Joel's house because I was there for an extra week because the drummer couldn't make the second weekend worth of shows, so I had to stay in New Zealand for another week. So
I'd like our
that
chefs to
whole
prepare the
time
squid
was
and
trying
cook it.
to figure out when are we coming back to Australia because literally after the first Gold Coast show, Joel finished at the end of the set and he's like, "Right, we're gonna be back in 3 months. We'll see you soon." And everyone in the band was like, "Fucking what? Like, huh? Like we are?" And even I'm like, "We are? Yeah, cool. Let's go." You know, and anyway, yeah, so it was like after that, and I think it was about a week or 2 after that, but I was in New Zealand for a couple of weeks and we were playing a whole bunch of shows, and so I was like, well, fuck, we need to rebook this. And, you know, we were talking about, do we do an East Coast? And long story short, basically he was just like, why don't I give this to you? You know what you're doing. You know the scene better than me. You know the best ways to kind of get shit out of people and the best bands and the best places to go. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, so that's why he was like, you know, I chat to him like nearly every second day about what's going on with it anyway. And we kind of brainstorm together, but he basically runs the New Zealand shit. when it comes to shows, he's basically given that to me over here to be like, all right, let's do that.
Mhm.
Even though it's not like you're completely in charge, it's just more like you run that facet of it. And that's the
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing that I'll give to Joel is that he is a very smart dude in learning how to run his band and not like he runs the majority of it, don't get me wrong, but everyone in the band has their role and what they do to help the KAOSIS machines
Yeah.
like turning, like the cogs turning and shit.
Yeah,
So
he knows how to utilize everyone's strengths to get the
bingo.
best
Good
outcome for the band.
delegation.
It's important. I
Yeah.
mean, being able to run your band like that is incredible. And I
Yeah,
hats
and
off to
again,
him.
so
He's
much.
made such a success out of it too. Like I've seen the name has
Mm,
been all over the place in the last kind of few years, especially,
mm.
and I yeah, I
He's a
cannot be
powerhouse,
happier
man.
for the success.
Seriously, like he is on another level. Like I still learn shit from talking to him all the fucking time, dude. Like we talk all the time, and like me picking his brain apart, I thought I kind of had a rough idea of how to do shit until I met
Mhm.
Joel, and he just made me realize like how little I actually know in a lot of ways, you know. And it was the same as when I came into Nuclear with Brad. It was just like, oh, I know how the music scene works, and I get in there and I'm like, fucking no, 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 bad CJ, you know. So yeah. So basically, like leading up to shows, because obviously I'm over here. It's at that level where I practice here at home,
Mhm.
or should I say at my studio. I get told what the set is going to be about a week or two beforehand. Make sure I know all the songs so that I don't step on stage and make a fucking ass of myself. And basically, yeah, like me and Joel chat every day. Tour logistics. When am I flying in? Fly in. Well, 9 times out of 10, we only have one rehearsal.
Yeah.
When they first came over here, we had 2 nights simply because new member. It was their second show, and it was their first time with the new members
Yeah,
being
yeah.
on
The
tour
extra
as well.
rehearsal helps.
Yeah, so we had two, and now yeah, basically it's a rehearsal before the show, and sometimes we don't even do that. Like they'll rehearse on their end, and I'll just rock up and like it kind of goes to show how much trust and faith Joel actually has in me because it's like sometimes we don't have a rehearsal before a show, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will literally get off a plane, sleep for 4 hours, get the bus down to Hamilton to drive out with the crew to play a show that night, you know, and not have a jam and still step on stage and fucking nail it, you know. So
That's
yeah.
such a degree of professionalism.
Absolutely.
That
And
is that is yeah. That just
it
goes
really
shows the
shows
caliber of
how
musician that you are.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I think it's more the faith that Joel has in me more than my ability, man.
Well, it's
You
but
know?
I
it's
mean,
all part and
look,
parcel.
man, look,
Mm.
you can't do the stuff that you do without being incredibly skilled and hardworking.
Mm.
Like it just
It's come
doesn't
from a
happen.
lot of work, man. Yeah.
And that's yeah, that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, it's you're I guess you're kind of like living a lot of people's dream. You're
I
getting to
guess, yeah.
fly internationally and perform with multiple different bands, and it's not like you've landed there by accident. You've put in a lot of hard work to get where you've gotten, and it's awesome to see that paying off. It's awesome to see because you don't always see that in the music industry. You don't. It's not always the meritocracy that it should be.
Mm.
It's a lot of the time it is who you know more than what you know,
Mm.
and it's not to say that talent doesn't play a role in it, but it's so often we see these situations where you know who people know gets them the advantages over simply being good, and it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it's the way the industry is.
No, it's
It's not
but
in
it
all
always
cases,
has been.
but most. It's in most cases that is absolutely the case, you know. And I guess like looking back with myself is like I always kind of stuck with the people that I chose and liked working with, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess there's an element of luck, but I don't believe in luck. I believe you make your own luck. You know, you create the opportunities that get put in front of you, and like I 100% agree. Like you don't get put in those situations without some level of skill, you know. But it also comes with like who you know. But I think there's another element of it too that people just never think about. It. It's like the kind of person you are. And it's like
Yeah,
so many people don't want to work with assholes, like just people
exactly.
that are just complete pieces of shit. Like and you know, I see it so many times where people want to get like the best muso in the town. We'll get him in, but the dude's a cunt. Like, sorry, can I say that word?
Yeah,
I can
man.
say
You
the
go.
word.
You let fly,
Yeah,
man. You
We
let
don't, we don't
yeah.
fly.
care.
You
I
let
mean,
I think I've
fly.
already said it like 3 times,
You
but
let
fuck it.
fly,
Yeah,
brother.
they're a cunt, you know, and that's the thing where it's like I would
Blank.
rather work with. Yeah. Yeah. I think it kind of comes down to like being the kind of person that other people want to work with. I think is a
Yeah.
really like crucial part too of it, you know? Like, you know, you two wouldn't be doing this podcast together if you didn't want to do it because you know, if you two hated each other off this would be like the fucking worst podcast to listen to. Or this would be like,
Mate,
you know what I mean?
let me tell you, this guy is the fucking worst. No.
I am pretty bad.
But no, but I
Nah.
100% get what you mean. I 100% get what you
Yeah.
mean. Like the amount of, you know, I have joined bands or played with bands, filled in with bands where they've had, you know, like the bass players left and they need someone short notice to step in, or you know, we're doing something and it's like that's one of the things that I've heard is just like it's your, you know, that is being easy to work with makes it more fun and it makes people want to do it again. It makes people want to get you in again, you know. And if you're just filling in for
Absolutely.
something, and then if you're just filling in for something, and then when the time comes, okay, we need a permanent replacement. Is this someone that we want to consider because they know the stuff already? They've done a really good job. They've been really good to work with. Let's talk to them. And you know, it just goes to show that for you, like you know, you as I said, your name is one that I've heard many times from people in the metal scene up here, and it's always good. It's always good.
That's
You know,
awesome to hear,
everything I've heard, everything I've heard is just like how much of an amazing dude you are, how cool you are to work with, how talented you are, and I'm not just sucking up because you said yes to coming on the podcast. This is and
I would have come on
hand
anyway,
to
man.
hand to Satan, this is 100% true. Is like you, no one has had a bad word to say about
Yeah,
you.
nah.
And
That's
me,
awesome,
you know,
man.
chatting with you now and chatting with you in the chats we've had about organizing stuff, you know, for Nuclear's involvement in these festivals and everything, and just the interactions we've had online. I'm, you know, I 100% am understanding why you are so beloved in the
Oh,
Brisbane
man.
metal scene. So
I appreciate hearing
that's
that, dude. That's
awesome.
really beautiful words.
I'm so stoked for all of your success that you're having with KAOSIS. I'm really keen for these shows coming up. So yes, these shows, because so there's a third show in this kind of run. Is that right?
Yeah,
There's
so moving to this weekend, the three shows that Chaos is doing. One's at Mo's Desert Clubhouse on the Friday
Yep.
night. Then we have Kaiju Fest. So we have Carnage Fest on the Friday night, Kaiju Fest on the Saturday, and then we have Metal Mayhem in Toowoomba. And the choice of going to Toowoomba instead of going to Sydney or that is, you know, a lot of our fan base is from the southeast Queensland region.
Yep.
You know, and we kind of felt like the last time we did it was just basically like a way of throwing confetti in people's faces and being like, we're back. But now it's kind of like well, let's give these people that have been such loyal fans and basically like our number one city outside of New Zealand, let's give them something. Let's do a tour specifically dedicated to those people. You know, so obviously coming back to the Gold Coast is going to be awesome. Kaiju Fest, getting to play with like not only you guys but like all the other amazing bands and have all those amazing people
That
involved.
lineup, can I just say that lineup is fucking insane.
Just
Like,
correct me if I'm wrong. You have
How you
a
pull that
Rage.
together?
You have a Rage Against the Machine tribute band. Was it Olympic?
Okay, so let me clarify this.
Yeah, yeah.
So all the tribute acts is under one act, and they're called Resurrection.
Okay.
Really good dudes. Shout out to Dave, the drummer. He's the brainchild, the star child behind all of that shit. They have just rebranded to being an alternative metal show. But they used to be a new metal tribute act, and they were very fucking good at doing it too. I booked a lot of shows with them this year and seen them evolve, and they lost a couple of members. I think, yeah, they trialed run one of my shows a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, they're basically going to be playing quite a few songs from, I think it's Linkin Park, Korn, and Limp Bizkit. And then they've got a whole bunch of other stuff that's going to be sprinkled in as well. So, just to clarify, because there are a lot of people like, how the fuck did you book Korn? I'm like, I didn't.
Read the small print.
Read the small print, bro. And that's Joel, because
The
he
whole
books
poster.
he books a lot of tribute acts, like metal tribute acts over in New Zealand, and that's how he runs his
Yeah.
posters and stuff like that. So I think when that got brought over here, I think there was a little bit of confusion, and there still is. So just to clarify, no, Korn is not playing Kaiju Fest. If it was, we wouldn't be plugging tickets because it'd be fucking sold out. Um, so yeah, that's just to clarify. That's the case.
So that's it. So that's lineup. I'll just run through the lineup right now. I'll just so we've got just so everyone, in case they don't
We're all
know.
on
So
board.
you got Resurrection doing those tribute sets. So that's focusing Corn Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, but whatever else they want to throw in there. And that's the headline. Is that right, or is it you guys headline? Is KAOSIS headlining?
Okay, so the way we've got it is KAOSIS is headlining, but
Yep.
they're the party band at the end. So instead of having another
Right.
original band go on at the end, we're having them
Yep.
as the band where everyone can step off stage, have a drink, and
That's
sing along
awesome.
to the shit
I
that
love
they used
that.
to grow up to as a child.
That is a
I love-
great idea.
Love that. So,
Yeah.
So KAOSIS, Empire Within, Sin Soto, Hang 'em High, Horizon, Adriatic, who are amazing. Nuclear
Fucking
Vision.
Great.
Is it 12 Gauge Rampage? Is that one band or is it two separate bands?
No, that's
12
one
Gauge
band.
and Rampage.
Unfortunately, they have had to pull out. We haven't had the chance to announce that. It only happened a couple of days ago.
Well, you heard it here
which
first.
That's
Yeah, you
disappointing.
heard it here first.
we gotta get all,
All
the
the breaking
exclusives.
news.
I told you to make it worth your while tuning into this one, man.
Okay, so Void Matter, Regular Gonzalez, who again is another band that if you're not paying attention, you need to watch Regular
They're
Gonzalez.
legit.
You need to check them out. Just only ever wear shorts to their shows. Okay. So is it Strange Fiction? Is that one, or
Yep.
is that? Am I reading that right?
Strange Fiction, correct.
Grimhild, Asylum, Ancient. Is it Ancient Remains?
Ancient Remains, yep.
Yeah. We the Hollow. So that's a hell of a lineup right there. Like that's incredible for $15 if you buy them ahead of time. So that's like I have that kind of a lineup for that price is absurd.
Exactly. That's why we wanted to do it. The whole thing for KAOSIS is we just want to have as many people through the door to have the biggest party we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't care if we could afford to do it, it would be a free show.
Yeah.
That's the kind of way. But like all of these bands I've been either friends with or have some connection with, like Strange Fiction. I've seen him play once. Sorry, I'll stand corrected. And the drummer of that band is an old drum student of mine from nearly 10 years ago, which is cool. So that's something that I'm actually really excited to see. But all of these bands have been the bands that I've seen that are the kind of, coming back to what I was saying before, they're the kind of bands that I want to work with, because I know these are the dudes. If I go, look, here's 10 tickets, sell your tickets, you keep it, if everyone can kind of be one of those bands on this, because whenever I'm booking something, it's like I have to have like a mission statement, like what am I trying to accomplish? I don't want to put on a show for the sake of putting on a show, because so many people do that. So I was like, what's the mission statement? Like, what the fuck is this experience going to be for people that are going to be coming? And I was like, well, who the fuck do I book? And I'm like trying to think of a couple of bands. I'm like, I knew a couple that I could get. But then I was like, well, it started to turn into the fact where the running joke between me and Joel while I was booking this at his place was Hustle Fest. And the reason is because all of the bands that are on that bill have at least one or two members, or if not all of the members, are dudes that hustle for their shows. They are the dudes that go out and do the poster runs. They are the dudes that go out and sell the tickets to the show. They're the ones that are just the good people to work with. And I'm like, well, let's fucking put on a festival for these motherfuckers, and let's call it Kaiju Fest, which translates to like big Japanese monster or some shit like that.
That's what Godzilla is. Godzilla's a kaiju.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, let's celebrate the fucking Kaijus of Brisbane, man. Let's put them under the one fucking roof. Let's celebrate that shit, man. It's like,
that's fucking beautiful.
Top tier fucking people, top tier fucking bands at a top tier venue for like the cost of a jug of beer. Like, fuck.
That's
we wanted to keep it. Wanted to keep. Sorry, man. We wanted to keep the tickets as low as possible. So basically, we're essentially trying to get people in for free. Because it's just like, we just want people to come and have a good time. Like, this is not about the money. This is about the experience. And that's exactly what a KAOSIS show is, let alone a festival put on by KAOSIS, is an experience, So that's what we're trying to accomplish with this anyway. And then that's exactly what we're trying to do in Toowoomba the next day with a couple of the bands that are there as well. I've never played Toowoomba with a metal band before, but I booked a show there earlier this year, and they fucking went off. We got quite a few. Surprisingly, we had a really big turnout, but we had no one leave the show until it was done. The Resurrection
Yep.
finished the last note. That's when people started leaving.
That's
Because
mad.
people don't come out for that shit. And the funniest story with that too is there was a dude in a wheelchair for that, and apparently he's like the local dude that turns out to like metal shows and punk shows. And I'm watching the dude's heart monitor because he's right up front in the mosh pit, just like moving backwards and forwards. He's like pulling doughies in the mosh pit and shit because he was a full quadriplegic and shit.
What a
What
sick
a fucking
I know.
legend.
Amazing.
I'm like, this is. And I'm like, I felt like I'm watching him, and he's got a breath thing that's like going into his mouth. That's like obviously like monitoring his heart, like his vital fucking signs. And the cunt's like blipping fucking harder than a speed addict, man. And I'm like, this cunt is going to die at the show. I'm like,
Right.
oh my god.
Wow.
But it was so he stuck around the whole time. People were like picking him up, and it was fucking amazing. And it was like so cool at the end. Like he came up to me, and I got to have a quick chat with him, and loveliest dude. I'm just like, man, I'm so glad you had a fun time. Everyone left, and there's like skid marks on the floor from his fucking wheelchair that they had to spend like weeks cleaning up and shit. It was the fucking best shit I've
Oh
ever
my
seen.
god.
So
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Anyway, that's the whole mission statement of the weekend. Is we got Gold Coast on the Friday, we got Kaiju Fest on the Saturday, and we got Toowoomba on the
Okay.
Sunday. It's more of like an afternoon, early night kind of a thing. This is Sunday, cunts have got to work the next day, but
No, cunts going to work the next day after that. Come on.
Nobody is, man.
Book your
So that's-
Mondays off, champions. I'm telling you.
All right, so we'll run through the lineup for that Metal Mayhem Fest. So again, we've got Resurrection doing the cover sets, KAOSIS, Mass Sky Raid. That's one band, is it?
Correct,
I'm reading.
yes.
And then
Great
Void
band.
Matter again. Crave are playing that. Love those guys. Sang Freud, Nuclear Vision. So that's so it's a smaller lineup for that one. But again, even still, that's an amazing lineup for even only $15 for that. So that's what. Now the question I have for you. For you is, the number of tickets that have been sold for Kaiju Fest going towards it. We don't need the exact number out here. We were discussing it before though.
Yes.
What's the chance of it becoming an annual thing?
Probably almost very likely.
Because I tell you what, if Brisbane can, we can start setting up like this annual like Kaiju Fest thing. If this one goes well, as I suspect that it will, you got that reputation there. You can make it something special. You can make it recurring. You can make a point of every year going, right, coming around to October or whatever, whether you want to move it to being like more of a Halloween thing, or you want to just keep it in November and keep it separate from that. And you gone, right, Kaiju Fest, that time of year, we're going to do Kaiju Fest. And you just put on the most fucking cracking show that you absolutely can. A cracking festival show every year. Like, you get KAOSIS on, you get some of these tribute bands on, you get the best top tier Brisbane talent involved.
That's the idea.
I'd love to see that. I'd love to see. I would absolutely throw my support behind something like that.
Bringing it to Sydney?
Well, that's the next thing, because it's like we're building these festival brands that are like that have already without the show having even gone ahead become like a separate entity to KAOSIS. It's like now we're starting to get to the point where we're like, okay, maybe we could take this to Sydney next year. The problem is like, I know some Sydney bands, I know the ones that I would like to have on there, but I don't know I think the whole point, as I said, with Kaiju Fest is to find those little street hustling bands. And I just don't know enough of them in Sydney or Melbourne to give them that shout out to do it, But fuck, I would love to. And I tell you what,
knows some people that he can put you in touch with.
Yeah,
Navo,
I would love
Navo,
that,
man.
We'll
Navo.
talk. Well, yeah. If you want to look at bringing it to Sydney,
We can talk.
hit me up, talk to me, and I'll put you in touch with some people, because they'll, I've been out of the loop in terms of Sydney bands for a while in terms of who's doing the important stuff, but I can definitely put you in touch with some people that can tell you who the people are that you want to be dealing with, and who you want to get on board. So
I would really
100%,
appreciate that,
we'll-
man. Yeah, we'll chat.
talk
We'll see
off
how this.
screen and make that happen.
We'll see how it goes for this one. I think the big one right now is like let's like Kaiju Fest's tickets are selling really fast, which is really good to see. But
Yeah.
I really want to see how far it can go first, and then once we're finished with that, because next year there's a lot of stuff in the woodworks with Chaos. Again, I can't mention shit, but there's a lot of stuff in the woodworks where it probably is just going to turn into, when we come out, is basically bringing it right back to the start of this chat, is a similar thing with what Knotfest does, except Kaiju Fest. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And it's like
yeah.
starting to bring that down to Sydney, bring that down to Melbourne, and then start to make it more a nationwide kind of thing.
Bring it on, man. Absolutely. Look, in
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
I think we've been there's 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 some big festivals that are coming back this year, but
Mm.
I think that we're missing those grassroots festivals.
Yeah.
We're
100%.
missing that more ground level festival where it's like, yeah, cool, you've got good things doing all that. You've potentially now got Knotfest coming over next year doing a big old thing. That's
But
great.
even
That's
looking at like the
amazing.
status of
But
like a
we
lot of where
need
the local festivals are now, like Dead of Winter, for example, is like kind of grassroots, but it's also like pretty big tier shit if it does
it's
come
getting
back.
there,
Which,
yeah.
you
It's
know, same
absolutely
as
getting there. And
Wallapalooza on the Gold Coast, same kind of
Yeah.
deal. You know, like
yeah.
I've seen Andy grow that from fucking nothing to where he is. Like, kudos to the fucking dude for doing that.
I actually
You
saw
know,
photos from that Wallapalooza. That looked crazy.
it
That
was
was
insane, dude.
yeah.
It was insane, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, shout out to Andy because it took him fucking over 10 years to get to that
And
point. But fucking good on you, man, for getting it there. Like,
yeah,
so fucking cool.
and that's how that's how so many bands. That's the kind of the thing that so many of these bands need to push up to that next level. They need these festivals are essential for replenishing the scene with with bands that are starting to break through like that. Like the Heavy Mag thing, like that was amazing to play the Heavy Mag thing with Nuclear Vision. I don't know what Chris's plans are around that. I'll be honest with you, I'd love it if every year he did a Heavy Mag festival.
I'm sure he will,
Making
man.
everything,
I'm
something like
sure he
that.
will.
Make that a thing, so it's more than just, hey, this is we're celebrating 10 years of Heavy Mag. Like, make a point of doing a big festival every year to be like, boom, this is the Heavy Mag's birthday. We're doing it. It's Heavy Fest or Heavy Mag Fest, however you want to do it. But I think it's awesome, man. And look, the amount of work that you're putting into organizing these shows, like a lot of people aren't going to see this stuff. A lot of people don't know how much work goes in behind the scenes to organize this stuff.
They don't have to, dude. All they have
Anyone,
to do is
no,
go there and
they
see
have
the
to-
bands, buy a
but,
t-shirt, man.
but I mean, but I think it's not easy, and the
Fuck no,
amount of
it's not.
stress that goes in. Like I've organized a few gigs for bands, and the closest thing to a festival that I've organized is some people from Sydney who know me will probably know this. Kyle will definitely know this one because he was fucking involved with it. Back around 2015, I had an idea to organize a show in the vein of Roadrunner United. So what I did was I went around to all the fucking people, all the Sydney musicians that I knew, and I said, "Look, here's my idea. I want to get as many Sydney musicians as I can that are interested, and organize a bunch of quote unquote super groups. Whoever's interested, I want you guys to, I'll assign you guys together, all people from different bands." And the OG idea that I had was that they would play each other's material, but then ultimately I'm like, you know what? I don't know if that's really going to work. Bands have got to then learn other bands' material, and like the drummer from one band may not be able to teach the guitar parts of a thing. So I'm like, that's not really going to vibe. But what I ended up doing was make your here's your super groups. Here's who you're working with. Play the songs you've always wanted to play. Cover, all the covers that you've wanted to play with your band that you haven't been able to because because you're a singer in a band and you've always wanted to do this Fear Factory song, right? But the rest of your band's been like, oh no, we don't really want to do a Fear Factory cover. This is your chance to do the Fear Factory cover. You wanted to do a Slipknot cover. This is your chance to do the Slipknot cover. And just go out there and like let me know who's doing what, so we're not doubling up on songs, but let's make it happen. And the thing is, because it was members from about 25 different bands, it was almost like organizing a festival because 20 to 25 different bands all had to make sure that they were not doing anything on that day so that their one or two people could come and do this. Yep. And when I tell you that fucking show nearly had me have like a fucking heart attack because the day before, one of the guys messages me and go like we'd already had drummers by this stage with 2 of the 5 bands dropping out.
You dragged me in late.
and yeah, singers not being able to do stuff, getting people involved with that. Venue double booking drummers because there was all sorts of this changeover in management at the venue and there hadn't been communications about stuff. We ended up having only 3 of the 5 bands, and then the day before, I get a message from the singer of one of the bands going, oh, sorry, the guitarist in one of the bands going, our drummer has just pulled out because he's sick. I was like, I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack from that kind of news, you know? And like, you know, it ended up kind of working out. They programmed some drums out and used program drums for a limited set, which ended up working out okay. It was a great night. Everyone ended up having a blast. But that's the closest I've ever come to organizing a festival, and so I'm like,
that's harder than a festival when
like,
you did,
I don't-
bro. Because at
I
least
don't-
a
I don't
festival,
think
you
so, I don't
message
think
one
so,
dude,
but-
they do the work for the 5 other dudes. You took 1 or 2 dudes from like fucking 20 different bands. That's harder.
Thank you.
Fucking kudos to you, man.
This guy, what he did for the scene at the time, he bonded friendships. He got people to work together that never thought that would get to work together. Like you don't understand what you did, Raph. I'm going to tell you right now. Like dead serious, bro. I jumped. I sort of got called in late, but man, I was so happy I got called in because who I was replacing is a hero of mine, and the shoes I got to fill there, and it made me a better singer at the time. Man, I had to step up. And it wasn't just for my band; it was for 4 other people. And it just, the degree of professionalism from every single band that played that night, it just showed the amount of talent that was in Sydney at that present moment in time.
I tell you what, like, and it was incredible because we had like, you know, there was people from Acid Nymph, people from Not Another Sequel, Just Another Prequel. We had people from Deprivation on board.
Wow.
We had people from, you know, all kinds of fucking bands that have done amazing work all throughout, you know, the last sort of 10, 15 years at the time. And multiple people commented that's like the most fun that they've had on stage because literally it was just for fun. It's getting up there, it's playing the songs that made you like heavy music. It's playing the songs you were passionate about. And the best part was some of the groups, I even said, look, it's a covers show, but hey, if you want to write an original song, that'd be kind of cool, right? So there was this really special occasion where there was a couple of these original songs that's the only time they've ever been performed anywhere.
Wow.
Because they were written by those super groups and they just had a blast and they had an amazing time.
You should do that again in Queensland.
I think... I don't know enough people,
Bruh.
but CJ might.
But you don't know enough people, but you know the right people.
CJ might know enough people.
I know a couple. I know 1 or 2.
Just real quick, we got Keith the Blind. He said that 12 Gauge Rampage are a sick band, to be honest.
They are.
Yeah.
They're fucking great. They're
Absolutely.
brutal as fuck, man. But kudos to you for pulling that shit off, man. Because like, I've heard a lot of people try to pull off the Roadrunner thing like so many times in Queensland, and it's just never come to light. It's there. It's a thing for like a week, and then people are like, fuck it, I couldn't give a shit. And it all depends on the person that's pushing to do this shit. And it is a testament to you. I like, if some random motherfucker was to come up to you and do that, you'd be like, yeah,
I'll be
cool,
honest,
man.
I got lucky in, I think, the timing of it all, and the people that wanted to be involved. You know, I had the idea and tried to coordinate it, and I got to give a shout out to Ben from Deprivation because I was talking to him about it for ages, and he was like, "When are you doing it? When are you doing it? When are you doing it?" And I finally was like, "Fuck you, I'm going to actually do it." And, you know, he unfortunately couldn't end up being involved in the show itself, but he was a massive supporter of me and pushing me to try and do that. So, again, awesome shout out to Ben. But
what did you call it, curiously?
Oh, God. I think I just called it Heavy Metal United.
It was the New South Wales Heavy Metal United.
It was Heavy Metal United show.
Go.
So it wasn't, and there was some confusion because some people, I didn't even realize there was a run of festivals called Metal United that happens like across.
Yeah.
the
At the
states
same
on
Is
time.
the
that still
day.
going? Is that still going? By the way,
I don't know.
I haven't
but
seen it happen for a couple of years
No,
now,
I don't think
man.
it does go.
Basically,
Damn.
I did it, and I kind of took like the Roadrunner United like artwork style and did like a poster in that. So it was like featuring members from like listing all these fucking Sydney
Wow,
bands.
yeah.
And you know, it was
Fuck
an
yeah.
amazing event, and you know, like, yeah, okay, I had the idea and I tried to pull it all together, but it couldn't have happened without all the other musicians.
You
that
packed
were
out the
involved.
crowbar, bro. You packed out the
If
crowbar.
anyone's-
That place was
if
packed out that
anyone's
night.
Not easy, dude.
If anyone's watching this and they were involved with that, like, you guys
Send
had such a
footage.
There you
fucking
go.
blast.
Keith hit the nail on the
There's
head. Keith Blind 95, Metal United Down Under.
No, that's not it. Metal United Down Under is the other
Oh,
thing.
the other
is
one.
The other,
The other one. Okay, that's the other one.
Yeah.
This was just heavy metal. This was just under the name Heavy Metal
Okay,
United. I
okay.
think the only footage I've really got is like my fucking GoPro that I had on my bass for most of the night.
Oh,
Like, there's not
surely
really
there'd
much
be
footage
people
of the
with
rest.
shit on their phones or hard drives, man.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to put the
There's little
call out.
bits-
We're gonna have to put
there's
the
little
call
Do
out.
it, cunt! Fucking
little
do
clips
it!
here
I
and
want to
there.
see this shit.
There's little clips here and there, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, so like Kyle ended up singing for the band that I was involved with it as well. And we did like, what did we do? We did like Spit It Out by Slipknot. We did.
We did.
You
Uh,
saying Corey shit?
We
Damn.
did. Yeah, we did a Corn cover. We did.
Yeah,
We
Falling
did.
Away From Me.
We
Uh, we
did. We did.
American
Oh,
Head Charge. We did something by American Head
yeah.
Charge.
We did.
Damn.
We did a Alice in Chains one. Pretty sure we did.
No,
No,
we
we didn't end up doing
Alice in
that.
Chains.
I'm trying to.
Uh,
I'm trying to remember the crate. The
Static X,
and
Cold Chamber.
there was yes. The
Yeah, lots of.
and my thing was
Hell.
what I decided to do just to make our set a bit more interesting. I'd just pull.
Limp Bizkit
I'd
as
pull
well.
random people up from the stage
Yeah.
and give them a microphone and get them to sing the song along with me if they like the song that we were going to play next.
Yeah, so
Hell
lots
yeah,
of ours
man.
had people from the crowd up involved in our set and everything too. So it was a fun night across the board. So I mean, look, yeah, if something like that would be possible up here, look, if you're a muso in Brisbane and you'd love to be involved with something like that, absolutely reach out because I think that'd be awesome.
Because you'd have different regions. You'd have your Gold Coast crew, your Brisbane crew, your
Yeah.
Toowoomba crew, and your fucking Sunny Coast crew. And like, I can tell you right now, safe off the bat, I fucking wish I lived up the Sunny Coast, and I nearly did at one point. But the Sunny Coast crew would kick the fuck out of any other region in fucking Southeast.
Ooh!
Believe me, word shots fired, and I'm from the fucking Gold Coast, you know. So
All right.
shots
look,
fired.
we've been talking a lot. Let's move it along to our quick
Cool.
question quarter. If Kyle's ready with the
Let's do it. Let's do it.
transition,
Do I have
hit
to
the
answer
thing,
like shortly?
Yeah.
hit the thing.
Getting to know all about you.
Yeah, it worked.
Good. So this is just going to be a bunch of rapid fire questions. You just got to give your quick answer. We don't necessarily need a lot of context for them. This is just like question, answer, just real quick. All right.
Let's go.
First instrument you ever played.
Percussion.
Awesome.
Snare drum.
First album you ever purchased.
Green Day's American Idiot.
Not a bad choice.
Wow.
First live concert that you went to.
Slayer.
Ooh,
Ooh.
very, very.
That's a good cherry buster.
What's an instrument you've always wanted to learn but haven't had the opportunity to do so?
Double bass.
Okay. If you could pick one big band or artist to open a show for, whether living or dead, active or not, just one big artist to open a show for, who would you pick?
Oh, God, there's too many to pick from. Can I phone a friend? Fuck. Fuck. First one that comes to mind, Public Enemy.
Wow.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's an amazing choice.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like.
Flavor Flav!
Yeah, boy.
Who is an artist or band that you're listening to right now that you believe is seriously underrated?
Oh, underrated?
Underrated, yeah. That more people
fuck.
need to pay attention to.
Any band, current, dead, member, whatever.
Anyone.
Anything.
Whatever you're listening to right now that more people need to pay attention to.
Oh, fucking Sin Soto. They're on my list. Hands down.
Awesome.
Hands down.
What is something people may be surprised to learn about you?
I was the second youngest Australian ever to win an A-grade New Zealand brass band championship.
Wow.
Wow, very, very
Second
nice.
youngest by 3 months.
You left that off the resume part in the beginning of the stream.
Yeah.
It's a big resume, man.
What is what is the cringiest band name or song name that you've been involved with?
That I've been involved with.
Yes. So something that you look at it and you're just like, oh, that's a bit fucking like, you know.
What's the band?
Or song, band or song name, either one.
Or song name? The band was called Nunslaughter.
Wow.
I was,
Wow.
Okay. Yep.
You pretty
yeah,
much.
it was a Philippine band. It was a Philippine
Okay.
band. Yeah.
That's pretty full on.
Yeah.
Some of those bands out of the Philippines are fucking crazy, dude.
Dude, they're
Slapshot,
just
man.
they're gurglecore, like fucking the most brutal shit you can think of, man. They
And our
love that hardcore shit.
and our last question for the quick question quarter.
Mm.
What is your most controversial music opinion?
Controversial?
Yeah. That you know is gonna piss people off.
um, that metal music is a dead genre.
Whoa.
Ooh, okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
It stings a bit.
It does. It hurts. It hurts. But I mean, I don't think you're that wrong. I don't think you're that far off base. At a high level, I think you're absolutely right. Like local level, there's tons of shit going on, but as a high level,
It's still okay. The reason I say it, and it's look, I'm gonna cop a lot of shit for this. It is such a self-derivative genre that it is basically the same as like fucking inbreeding, and that's exactly what you're getting. Sometimes you're gonna get some good shit. Do you know what I mean?
God, dude,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
It hurts. Don't get me wrong, but it's like name apart from like bands that were the last couple. I would say about 2013, 2014 was the last time we saw some seriously original bands come out and be different to each other, to their predecessors. But it's like ever since then, the bands that are still pushing the genre, the bands that are still coming up with creative and new shit, are the ones that have been around for 20 years. The genre has become stale. It's like if you're a local metal band now, and this is not naming names by any means, but it's just like, what does your band sound like? I'm a metal band. Oh, cool. What kind of metal? Oh, we're like Fear Factory mixed with Architects. You know exactly what you're getting yourself in for. You know what I mean? It's like the thing is, it's become so self-derivative of itself. I know what your band is going to sound like before I even fucking listen to it.
That's
Like,
absolutely fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough.
That's that inbreeding comment coming out. That's
Yeah.
why I'm like, you're not like, it's just, you really, I've never heard it being described like that before, but whatever you ask someone, it's okay, what inbreed are you? You Fear Factory and this, what inbreed are you?
You fuck your uncle and your cousin at the same time?
It's like, okay, if you're new metal, we sound like Korn and Deftones. That's about as much interbreeding as you can get. Like, this is like, you're even in the same, like, you're even in the same genre, like, yeah.
When you've got bands like Chaosium coming out and people thinking it's a new Korn album when they hear it, I think there's some problems going on.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle, would we be right to take a 5-minute breather for a second before we move on to the next segment?
Yeah, 100%.
Is that cool? Can we do that?
Yeah. Would you like, what can I do? What can I do to... Yeah, you go do what you need to do.
Or you guys can chat amongst yourselves. I will return shortly before we go onto the fuck off files. Yeah.
Yes.
I got to think about that shit.
Yeah, have a little bit of it. Well, the thing is, so okay, CJ. Now
Yes.
I had the very fortunate pleasure of meeting Brad from Nuclear Vision at the MMK Gymna Rocks Fest.
Yeah,
I did a bit of work up there, made a video and stuff like that. Now, he was the one that was just like, mate, you got to talk to this guy CJ. He's massive up here. You got to get him on like my other one. I want to see if we can get KAOSIS on there later on, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, with your, I guess, street cred.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, realistically, that's what it is, isn't it? Like we were talking before about how wanting to work with people, you have to sort of be humble. You have to be nice because I never thought I'd actually say this, but speaking to you and obviously knowing your reputation up in Queensland, street cred amounts to so much in our music scene, especially considering how small it is. Because if you make a bad name for yourself, that follows you. The scene ain't that big.
It does, and like I believe in redemption in a lot of ways too, because I've known people that have had some pretty tumultuous fucking pasts that have managed to work their way past that, change themselves. I always believe, I'm a firm believer in positivity with that shit, dude, and Street cred is huge though, man. It's like you say or do the wrong fucking thing, people won't forget that shit.
No, and like I never actually thought that you could probably get cancelled out of like the metal scene or anything like that. But yeah, you can, if you fuck around too bad and you
Seen
piss
it
off all the.
happen. I've seen it happen. Okay, I don't. I'm not gonna name the band, and this is going back a long fucking time ago. And God, I can't believe I'm talking about this era. Okay, so when I was in high school, the first metal band that I started was a band called Preox, which essentially was just a Pantera ripoff band.
Yes.
You know, it was, and you can obviously tell at the time we were listening to Pantera. We were all fucking teenagers. We were getting fucked up, all this kind of shit, right? Smoking weed, yeah, get your pull, you know. And there was another band from the same high school that had another dude, and they were essentially a Trivium ripoff because they were listening to Trivium. Metalcore was a big thing back then, and it was amazing to see the two different paths that happened with that band. We just stopped because we were a fucking piss wreck, and we couldn't fucking keep our shit together. Essentially, you know, still mates with all the dudes from that band. Like I rarely speak to them, but when I do, like, you know, fuck, they've got families, kids, all that kind of shit. The other one, I have not heard from that dude. I'm pretty sure he's dead, or he might be. Not like jokingly.
Yeah. Just dropped off the face of the earth.
He just dropped off the face of the fucking planet, man. I know he pissed off a lot of people before he would even step up on stage. Like this is back also in the early days of Facebook and shit talking, where it was a lot easier to go and do that without there being repercussions, I guess. So, and yeah, they just got banned from anything and everything. That was back when you had Rosie's back up here. That's when you had the fucking Step In. They got banned from every fucking venue.
And that was just them being dicks, or
just being assholes, just calling out promoters, thinking that they were just top shit. You know, just not being people that you want to book for a fucking show, you know? So
that's what I'm saying. Like, that goes back to what I was saying before. The scene is not big enough for you to. I was just talking about how we would like. I never thought street cred would be such a big thing within the scene. And I never,
absolutely it is.
Well, yeah, but it's just amazing how, you know, like we talk about cancel culture and stuff like that, and it can actually happen with like our scene and stuff like that down here.
Rap and metal have way more in common than either party likes to admit.
Oh, 100%. 100%, man. We are the music that was never meant to be made. Rap and metal are the music that is never meant to be made.
I think Ice-T said it best, man, is like people that listen to metal are the people that are terrified of blood and bones and shit like that. Whereas the people that listen to hip-hop are terrified of guns. They still preach power. They preach empowerment. Fuck the establishment. Fucking religion. All of this. It's the same shit.
Look,
just
you just
completely
look at it, like
differently.
rap. There's no rock stars anymore. Rappers took over that mantle.
Yeah. Yep. I hate it.
It's what it is. It's what it is. It's
But
just how these things are going. But anyway, let's move on to our next segment. This is my favorite segment, by the way.
Oh yeah.
When you're ready, Kyle, please hit the thing.
All right, let's do it.
I wish I
Fuck off, files.
Yeah. All right. So this is the Fuck Off Files. If it's your first time watching us, first of all, welcome. Please like, share, subscribe, do all of that good business. We're on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, all the good stuff. This is going to go on the YouTube afterwards, and then eventually the audio will go up on a podcast stream. I'm sorry, I promise I'm trying to be better with that. But basically, this is the Fuck Off Files, where we talk to our very, very esteemed guest and we say, hey, what's 3 things if you could just Thanos 3 things out of the music industry forever and ever and ever, what would they be and why? So I love this segment because we get all sorts of interesting answers from people. So I'm very curious, as someone who's been in the music business for as long as you have. What's your first pick, sir?
The first one, and I've been trying to think, and I've only got one, but I'm sure there'll be a couple that'll come to me. The first one is gatekeeping in the music industry.
Red hot one.
Yeah, that's the first one. And gatekeeping for your own self and personal gain to keep yourself in an established place in the fucking industry. That can royally fuck off, in my opinion. That is one of, if not the most detrimental fucking thing to any scene of music, whether you're a massive artist whether you're a smaller artist, whether you are just starting out. If you're gatekeeping just to think that you're better than someone else in the scene, I don't want to fucking know you.
100%. And I get it because, you know, a lot of us were the butt of jokes growing up because of the music that we listened to, and it's hard to accept that people that are traditionally considered to be popular are now, you know, now sort of coming to the genre, and we want to be seen. We want to protect what we think is ours.
Yeah.
We're like, you haven't done the hard yards for this. You haven't suffered for this the way I have, so you don't deserve it. Like, okay, I understand that mentality, and I've struggled to overcome it myself. But surely you're like, look at it from the generational perspective, right? If you grew up going through that shit, if we grew up going through that shit, and it's now like the trendy thing to like metal and to be into metal, and it's way more popular than it was, that means that there's some kid in school who's now hopefully not going to cop as much shit. That means there's kids that are people that are growing up out there, young people, that hopefully they're not going to cop as much bullshit for liking this kind of music as they would have when we were growing up.
For being the fat, ugly, hairy fucking kid, man. At least that fat, ugly, hairy kid now has a sense of fucking belonging, man.
Exactly. And hopefully, if it opens those doors for people to connect, for these kids to connect with each other at a deeper level, and stop some of that sort of negative treatment, 100%. Like gatekeeping, we've had, I think we might have, Carl, maybe you can tell me in this or not, if we've had people say that one before. I think
nearly on every single podcast, every single, there's two that pop up every single time. Gatekeeping is one of them, and if it comes up on, I'll tell you if the next one comes up, but Keith the Blind says it feels like gatekeeping is ruining the genre the most. 100% it is.
Yeah.
We don't own it. We don't own. There's no gate for us to fucking own.
But it's also not even just gatekeeping the genre, but it's like the other side of gatekeeping is gatekeeping information as a promoter or as someone in the industry.
Scumbag business tactics.
Absolutely, 100%. That's what I mean. It's like if you are gatekeeping like just the music itself to say that you're better than someone else, you can fuck off. If you are gatekeeping in the sense of like, I know this person and I've got these contacts, but I'm better than you and you have to come to me, but I'm going to be mysterious and not come and help you out. Look, I understand people don't have to help everyone out. They can choose who they want to help out. But the thing is, the less people you help out in the scene to grow it, the more you are hurting the scene. It is a slow poison that you are fucking introducing to that shit.
Yep.
So
by not giving that band that you know, and this is what I can't stress enough. It's about knowing your place in the industry. Okay, fair enough. You may know the right people and you might be in a band. It is not wrong to say that you are not that good and other people are better than you. It is not wrong for you to admit that, hey, these guys, you know what? I like the cut of these guys, Jib. I'm going to go and speak to this person and go and tell them, and not even say anything. Just go, hey, bro, you should check out this band. You shouldn't even have to say anything because you shouldn't want that credibility. If you're doing it in the scene to get, like you said, to get a leg up, then you're in the wrong fucking scene.
Or to keep yourself up on a fucking platform where people think that you're important. Like, and I guess that's the thing with me. It's just like, at the end of the day, dude, like, yeah, I may have been in some cool bands. I may have played some cool shows, and I'm a lucky man, and I guess in a lot of sense, and also have worked my ass off to get here. But by no means do I think that I am above the dude that has just played his first show over the weekend. Because it's like, either way, we are still in the same fucking scene. We are still sitting in the same fucking venues, playing new music with different people to the same fucking people of this city. It's like, you are no better than me, neither is it the other way around. It's just like, same to promoters. You're still fucking booking the Woolly Mammoth, man. You're still booking fucking this venue. You're still booking here. You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't know who the fuck is doing it now. That's not a call out to whoever is. I'm just using those venues as an example. You know, it's like, you're still booking the same fucking venues you were fucking 5 years ago, cunt. You know, and let me guess, in 5 years' time, you're still going to fucking book there again. Does not make you fucking better or elevated than anyone else in this fucking
There's
scene.
no growth. There's zero growth.
It's not that there's zero growth, but it's just like, just understand, you're still in the same fucking scene I am, dipshit. You know, like, you ain't fucking better than anyone, man. Fuck.
A time slot.
It grinds my bones, man, when
if everyone was if everyone was willing to work together like a lot more and be a bit more open about this stuff, then the scene as a whole could be elevated.
Yeah.
That's my second
that's
one.
what's holding people back. Okay, yeah.
That's my
Okay.
second fuck off file.
Alright.
Is people that preach about, oh, why isn't there a sense of community, and then go and act purely in self fucking interest. That
Yeah.
shit can fuck off too.
Yeah, but those
Absolutely.
those are normally the ones, aren't they? The ones that there's no community, but the whole time they're sitting there holding the card so close to their chest.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely.
so many do it. Where's the community, man? Where's the sense of camaraderie, bro? But you're the
And
one
a
that's going
lot
and
of the-
shit talking about every band behind their back. So
and a
fuck
lot of the
you.
time it's
There's
the
your
old
community,
timers
cunt.
too. A lot of the time it's the old timers, I find. I mean, this is more based on my experience from Sydney than up here.
Yeah.
But in Sydney, I found the people that had that attitude, a lot of them were the old timers, and they didn't want to give any new people a chance. They didn't want to listen to any young bands. They didn't want to try any young bands or connect with any of these younger
No.
bands that were coming up. They just wanted to sit there in their ivory tower and think that, you know, they were the kings of the scene, and that everyone owed them the world, and they didn't want to engage with anything or be any part of what was actually going on in the real scene at the time.
But realistically, all they're doing now is heading down to their local RSL, watching some nostalgic cover band that's just playing the same old nostalgic shit over and over again. Like, let's be for real.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to anyone that plays cover band, like anybody, you know,
Oh, of
like,
course,
mate, you can make
of
a
course.
you can make a
I did for
living,
years,
you
man.
can make a living off it. You know what I mean? More power to you.
Yeah.
But
That leads me to my third one, man. The third thing that can fuck off is just how devalued original music is. The fact that as someone that has been on both sides of the fucking field, that has been in cover bands making okay, my first few shows that I ever played, I were in a cover band. And I was in high school. The first one I played was when I was 12. Went and played the Goodna RSL. Played for 5 hours, earned a total of I think $900 that night, and I
Jesus
used that
Christ.
to save up to buy my first drum kit. That's how I rolled with that.
see what I mean?
No.
Look, you can make bank
I
on
need to
that.
go into a fucking cover band.
Yeah. Look,
Well, dude, the thing is, they did the RSL. So the thing is,
RSLs,
like,
man.
how I built my chops up as a player, man. If people don't know this, because like, you know, I didn't start doing the heavy metal shit until I was like 16, like 15, 16. But before that, I was a classical muso that would like basically get his chops as a muso, playing in brass bands where we would go and play in the parks. You would see us there, and we'd be playing all kinds of shit like the Hawaii Five-0 theme to fucking. Like we would do like Disney things with like the Incredibles theme and fucking all that kind of shit. To then on other weekends, I would be playing in a cover band, and I would do that because my dad's dad, Pop, he used to go to the Good RSL all the time. We got really friendly with the covers band that was there. Their drummer got into a pretty serious truck accident because he was a truckie, and they needed a quick filler and they couldn't find anyone. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." Unbeknownst how much fucking work and time and energy that was going to take, but I used that to get my first kit, and I did that for 2 years, and I really built some chops up playing like Beatles covers, shit from the 50s, all that kind of crap. Like that's where I built my chops off of doing this shit, and it was amazing the kind of bank that you could make doing that shit. It's incredible, and it's like how devalued it is. Where it's like perfect example is, let's look at Kaiju Fest. If we were to put that lineup on for the price that it should be, no one would fucking come. Like, let's be really, really honest about this.
yeah, you're right.
You know,
You're not wrong.
you know. So, in retrospect, but yet, if you were to put on an NXS cover band mixed with a Guns N' Roses cover band mixed with an Incubus tribute, you would have 100 to 300 people there for the same price.
You'd have the
you know?
venue asking you to play there for free. They pay you
Just
to get
guarantees.
just to get asses through the door because they know people are going to buy drinks. It's going to cover you tenfold.
Is
And it-
that- so, I mean, is that something? Because I have seen on a lot of the KAOSIS shows, there's tribute acts. Is that something that's like kind of in
That's
New
good
Zealand?
marketing. That's
They
fucking
just
good
kind of
marketing.
mix these originals and tribute kind of lineups to get
Joel, no,
as
that's
a way
more
to
a
help
Joel
get
thing.
stuff, or is that just something Joel does to?
It's more of a Joel way of how he runs his shows.
Yep.
Because it's also the tribute shit too is more of a way of, and I guess this is me and him thinking the same in a lot of ways. And I can only I can only speak for myself with this, but with me, it's kind of like, this is why I book Resurrections, because it's a party band, it's fun to do it, and anyone that's played enough original shows knows that once it hits 10 o'clock, everyone is way too pissed to give a fuck about the headlining act. So it's like, why not chuck a cover act on? but it's also like the same thing too. Is metal cover bands has kind of been a lot more of a bigger thing, and I guess now that you've got what, like 50 years of heavy metal acts and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know, you have a lot more where now that is becoming a thing, because it's like when you would see Elvis cover acts and fucking Beatles covers acts 20 years ago, oh yeah, that had been 50 years by that point. So it's the same kind of shit. So really for us is just kind of like to have that blend of party and stuff that you know, and then mixing it with originals as well, instead of it being purely covers. Like, we run the Prodigy tribute. And, like, if people don't know that, like, we are the ones that also do the Prodigy tribute. So at the Gold Coast, if you want to see that, that's going to be a KAOSIS set. We literally go off, have a quick drink of water, fucking wipe the black shit off our face, and go do another half an hour of Prodigy shit. So it's kind of more a Joel thing where he books a lot more than I do with it, but it does help in the sense of, like, people will go out there, have fun, sing along to what they want. They'll get a couple of original bands too, where they'll be like, oh, that was cool, instead of having like 8 original bands where it's just like, fuck, I can't remember this one, who was this guy, I missed this one. It's like, oh no, I missed the Korn tribute. Oh well, I got to see KAOSIS, you know. Yeah, that's just more how I kind of see it. Anyway.
I see it as a great marketing strategy. Like, I can't believe I never thought of this before. Every single show that we ever played, there should have been a heavy metal cover band at the end of it, like to headline. There should never have been an original, like, at least that way you get, and you could have done a happy hour for while the original bands were playing in the pub. And then as soon as the second to last headline act goes on, you pull the happy hour. And then, mate, everyone's so tanked by then, they're going to stay for the rest of it. You get people in, like, that is the best marketing strategy to get at least asses through the door, at least for the last 2 hours. So they can get down there, have a drink, and...
It keeps people around. Like, that's why I love the Resurrection dudes. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say they're the best cover band in the world, but they do a damn good job of getting people amped up. And it's like I don't know what they were doing now, but when the shows that I did have them booked, they would always come out with Rolling. The amount of people that would come out of the woodworks that have been shit-talking on Fred Durst for the last fucking 20 years, all of a sudden would come out, and you would see people within the first 30 fucking seconds pull in the fucking...
Yeah.
Rolling.
But the thing with cover bands, that, you know, and this is not my original thought. This is something that was told to me by someone who's got more years in the industry than myself. But it was pointed out to me that with cover bands and tribute bands, people don't hear what's being played. They hear enough to tell what the so they can twig what the song is, and then in their head they're hearing the original track. They're listening to the original track like a fucking CD in their head, because that's what they're like nostalgic for. That's what they're like, yeah, that's the thing. And then in their head they're just listening to the fucking thing. So
I do this. I get up to a part and I go, don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. The good part's coming up. Don't fuck it up.
You're break the old
Testify,
fuck.
Brian, the fucking vocalist of Resurrection, there were a couple of times I saw him being like, be loco, be loco.
Oh man! All right,
That'd probably be my third thing. Is like the
totally
devalued, because okay, I did an interview for Frankenbach for the last Carnage Fest that we did for Heavy Magazine, and 2 people have said it, and it's basically this is exactly what original, especially original heavy metal bands have turned into now. We're glorified booze salesmen, and we're glorified T-shirt salesmen at the end of the day. You know,
wow.
Which is fucking terrible.
There's so many truth bombs tonight. I can't handle this.
But it's fucking, like, unfortunately, that's what we are. We're there to sell booze, and we're there to sell T-shirts. We're glorified T-shirt salesmen and booze salesmen.
The thing
and
is,
it's like,
the thing is,
yeah.
sorry to jump in there, but the thing is, Carl, this is why you got out of doing vocals.
Oh, this is why I got out of the game in general. This is why I got out of the game,
because you know these things to be true.
I know, deep down in my heart. Look inside yourself. You know this to be true.
Yeah, and that's yeah, you're 100% right, and I think this is, you know, when you look across the way original, you know, music is promoted and sold these days, it's only a problem that's gotten worse and worse over time, and with the proliferation of streaming platforms, it becomes really, really hard to sell CDs now, and for a band, like, it might seem stupid to say that selling a CD for a band is a valuable thing, but selling a CD earns you when selling a CD earns you thousands of times what the streaming would earn you. it's not even a comparison. Like,
I'm going to play devil's advocate here real quick though, but how much of it as an advantage is the streaming platform when someone can have a look at your poster and go, I know one of those bands on the bill. Let's see if the rest are good.
You've got that. And I've always maintained that. I've always maintained it's a double.
It's catch-22.
I personally think anyone that's printing CDs now, and look, I could say this because I'm not in the game anymore. You're wasting your money. Take $10 off CD. Take $10 off T-shirt.
See, the only thing I'll say to that though is, it comes back to the devaluing thing. But if you're in a local, and this is why I think last year in COVID, especially, like I can only testify for Queensland because fuck, we were stuck here. Everyone was stuck in their own state in this country. But last year was a boom for local shows and local bands because no one else could go anywhere. Finally, I'm gonna go fucking see Uncle Jim Bob's fucking thrash band, down at the fucking Flaming Galah for fucking $10, and it was so much easier because venue caps were halved at that point. So much shit, but it was amazing. Even then, it's just like, oh hi, do you want to pay $5 for my band CD? Fuck no. Why the fuck? Oh no, I don't have the money. Oh, maybe later, man. Get me to do it later. Change the fucking thing altogether. Hey man, do you want my band CD? I'll give it to you for free. Oh fuck yeah, I'll listen to it. Immediately just goes to show the state of like how devalued original music is. But I guess this is the other catch-22 to it, is like that's how good bands become good fucking bands. That's how like there are so many bands to sift through. And it's not saying that they're not good, it's not saying they're bad, but there are just so many fucking local bands to sift through where it's like that's what makes a good band is that one that can sift through it. And yes, a lot of it has to do with luck, but a lot of it also has to do with like having good fucking music, having good quality, having physical fucking copies. Because it's like, if I like an album still to this day, I will go and find the shop and fucking buy the thing. I will never actually put it onto my CD player in the fucking car, but I did it to support that fucking band because I liked it. You know?
But
it's the catch-22. It's
the only CDs I buy these days are local. The only CDs I buy these days are local acts.
See, I find it as far as reach for me goes, like I've been able to do a lot of research on bands and stuff like that. And if I'm like for interviews, I get like sometimes I can't just go out and get the CD. Like you can't. I haven't got that available, especially when you're hitting local and especially when you're going interstate. So, like as much as it is like for the consumer. Oh man, you're laughing. You got all this shit so cheap and it's free and you just got to listen to an ad. But in retrospect, think about the damage that you're doing. That's why I always try and buy a t-shirt. I won't buy a CD, but I'll always try and buy a t-shirt or something like that because rep it. Rep that shit. I can rep it all the time. I can wear my
buy your grandma one, cunt.
That's why other merch options are becoming so valuable, right? Like the smart bands now are doing not just CDs and T-shirts. I mean, with
alcohol,
we got
fucking air
we got the beer coat, we got the beer, the stubby coolers, we got the stickers, we got the fucking keyring bottle openers. Which, if you're in a band and you're not doing keyring bottle openers, get on that shit. Honestly,
every punter drinks. Nearly every punter drinks.
Yeah, and because I was looking at it, I'm like, well, no one's gonna buy a keyring. But if it's a bottle opener as well, you could. So Anyway, look, this has been awesome. We've got we're nearing the 2-hour mark, so I think we'll wrap this up. We don't want to take too much more of your time.
Take as much as you want.
What have you got coming up to plug? Obviously, we've got these 3 shows. We've got, is it Carnage Fest on Gold Coast?
Yep.
Carnage Fest, Kaiju Fest at Mansfield, and Metal Mayhem at Toowoomba. That's coming up on the 10th?
11th, 10th, and 11th, 12th, and 13th. So 11th is Carnage Fest, 12th is Kaiju Fest, 13th is Metal Mayhem. On top of that, the week before that, I'm playing a show with Piston Fist called Rocks Meets Depression. That is also at the Mansfield Tavern. It is for a great cause. I'm a big advocate for mental health, all of that kind of shit like that. I think everyone at this point has battled some kind of demons in the past, so get your ass onto that show. It's for a good cause, and also great bands. It's a really good fucking lineup. Shout out to anyone in New Zealand playing Hamilton next week with KAOSIS and a couple other bands as well. And then I'm just trying to think of what's coming after that. Shout out to Void Matter. Unfortunately, this weekend I couldn't go down with them, but I also manage those boys, and they're playing down in Frankie's Pizza this Sunday.
Oh, epic.
Oh, in Sydney?
So, yeah, in Sydney.
Oh, wow. This Sunday?
This Sunday. Go check them out, man. They're a good crew.
I have Monday off.
Ooh. Well.
There you go.
Go out and meet them, man. They put on a cracker show. They're good boys.
I'm gonna have to name drop. I'm gonna have to do a name drop.
Oh, do it. Yeah, I'm spewing. I can't come. I've got I've got classical music exams running out of my studio this weekend that I got to look after. So, yeah, busy man. But unfortunately, it sucks that I couldn't be with them for their first like interstate show. But yeah, go check that out. On top of Void Matter 2, they're playing Bad Decisions Bar on November 19th with Dream Killers, Reclamant, and The Nearly Dead as well. And then after that, oh fuck, what do I have? New Year's and Tauranga, New Zealand. Whole bunch of shit. Yeah, lots of stuff. Keep an eye out for KAOSIS stuff because there's few things that I know are going to be able to drop pretty soon, and when they do, it is going to fucking spin some heads. Is all I can say.
Whoa!
Awesome!
Come on!
I'm so fucking excited. You know what?
Outside of that, a lot of overseas touring next year. I can say I'm back in Switzerland next year, which is fucking dope. So I get to go play Carnival season over there. Can't wait to see my Swiss family, man. It's gonna be fucking insane. Because we basically play anywhere from like the last time I was there, we played 48 shows in 2.5 weeks. You know, and that's an hour set. Yeah.
Fucking hell, mate.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So looking
Working
forward
hard
to
for that.
Musicians are the hardest working fucking people in the world.
That's awesome.
It's
man.
more than
Yeah.
fucking athletes, man. To get in a successful band, me and Joel always say this. If you want to be in a successful fucking band that actually makes it to the level of bands like Slipknot and that, you have to work harder than a fucking Olympic athlete to get a gold medal. Just saying.
Fuck.
It's fucking true.
Well, look, awesome. That's so awesome, man. You got so much stuff coming up. That's amazing. Yeah, as we said, go check those out. Carnage Fest, Kaiju Fest, Monster Mayhem. Pop those in there. You'll find your tickets. Buy your tickets now. If you know one of the bands that's playing, you can buy the tickets direct from the bands as well. So go on and do that. Support them directly if that's something that you can do. It makes so much difference. Kyle, my brother, what have you got? What have you got coming up? Talk to me.
Well, I don't know if anyone's seen, but Gymna 2023 has been announced.
Yes, it has indeed.
Which
It has indeed.
means you know what's going to happen with me. I'm going balls deep on promotion as soon as bands get announced. I'm organising my ticket up there, so all that's
You don't
going to be
have to-
coming up.
You don't have to drop any names, but do you know anyone of who's going to be on?
I have not. I suck at keep a secret sometimes, so I haven't asked Karen yet.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No dramas at all, my man. No dramas at all. But that's awesome. Yeah. So you're going to be kicking into high gear with Beer.
Yeah. We're getting ready for that.
No, that's good. That's good. That's good. Have you got much else? Anything imminent with Beer Buddy?
Well, I don't look. If no one saw my chat last week with Greg from Noise Pollution, please go and check that out. That was a really.
I actually listened to it, man. Greg is fucking like one of the best cunts I've ever fucking met, man.
He doesn't understand how good he is, you know what I mean? So it was a real pleasure talking to him. It was great picking his brain. That's what I sort of do at the same time while I do the interview and stuff like that. But yeah, if you got a chance, check that out. And yeah, that's about it. I'm just getting ready for this bloody MMK thing, this Gymna thing. I'm so pumped.
Nice.
What about you, Raph? What have you got other than?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, like we've got this Halloween show coming up. That's at Fright Night Fest at Tribe Clubhouse in Redcliffe. That's an amazing one. That's going to be, we got Trip Sitter, Lunchtime, Band Solo, Frozen Eddie, Ether, Stood Shy. It's a hell of a lineup. It's $20.
Hey, Stood Shy, nice.
Tickets. $20 for that one. That's at the door. They are a little bit cheaper if you buy them ahead of time online. So please go out and do that. I believe it's an OzTix link there. If you need it, feel free to hit up the page. We'll send you that. We'll put that one out there for you guys. As I said though, that's like a Halloween thing. So lots of costumes there. At the band, we've been getting our costume together. It's like a trio costume. So waiting on those to be finished. That's going to be fun.
I call DuckTales Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Oh, that's a good idea, but no.
Oh, come on.
So, what else have I got though? Obviously, yeah, Nuclear Vision is playing Kaiju Fest and Metal Mayhem, so that's going to be awesome. Playing those two shows as well. Other than this, well, as we said, next week on the podcast, we do have Disgust coming on that one for our Halloween episode. So please,
You gonna dress up?
Probably. Oh, I might do something.
Yeah?
I might do something.
Yeah.
I'll send you one of my old masks.
Mate,
I'm sure that's going to smell amazing.
I got so
Mine
many
did.
masks right now. I need to put another shelf up to store them all. Like I'm getting It's getting ridiculous. Like I
Yeah,
bought a
yeah.
really nice one from Drop Bear Studios. I have to say, big shout out to Drop Bear Studios on that
He's
one.
dude,
They
he's
did a
great.
really nice one.
Oh man, I'm
Yeah.
stoked. I'll be tuning in for the Disgust one 100%, man.
Cool, man.
100%.
Thank you.
That should be good. That
100%.
should be really good. So yeah, bring it. I probably will have quite a few drinks on that one because it's Halloween. Who gives a fuck? So I'll make sure I'm nice and juiced up for that.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
We should do pre-drinks with the boys.
oh,
Yeah, maybe
that's
maybe we can.
dangerous.
Yeah, maybe do a little pre-drinks.
Do some pre-drinks, really get loose. All right, well, look, thank you again so much for that. For everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's jumped in the chat today. As we always say, like, share, subscribe, get on all that good stuff. The more of you guys get involved with this, the more amazing people we can have on, the more incredible guests we can get on to talk to you guys, pick their brains about stuff. Once again, look, I cannot thank you enough, CJ, for coming on. This has been so awesome. We could probably talk for another 5 hours and still have more to say. I'm really looking forward to. I don't know if have we met in person. Did we meet in person?
No,
at
no.
No, I don't think we did. Okay,
You only exist as the hairy man that's on my phone or computer screen right now.
Hey, where did you get those pictures? They were supposed. I told you delete that shit. But
Man,
no,
it's
look,
my background. No.
yeah. Look, thank you so much. I really look forward to meeting you in person
My
at
pleasure,
these in the lead up to these shows. It's
And
going to
go
be a lot
support
of
the
fun.
fuck out of you two boys and what the fuck you're doing, man.
And
Jesus
look,
Christ.
for those, I think we can. I think should we tell the people about the little surprise that Nuclear Vision's got teed up? That we're trying to tee up for that. Do you think we should tell them?
Go
Should we
on.
tell them? All right.
Go on.
So for
What?
those of you who have been a fan of Nuclear Vision since CJ's time in the band, we're taking the opportunity at Kaiju Fest and Metal Mayhem for a very special treat. CJ is going to be jumping up with us on drums for one song at the end of our set. So make sure you're there for that. You will not want to miss it. Our boy Corvis is going to be stepping up to help with Brad on vocals for that. So this is going to be an awesome time. This is going to be a very little special occurrence. So please make sure you're there for that. It's going to be awesome. But again, yes, thank you so much for coming on. Check out all of the amazing stuff that that CJ is doing there. Go and check out KAOSIS if you haven't already. And look, as we always say, everyone, the world's been pretty crazy for the last couple of years. The world's getting crazier every fucking day. Look after yourself. Look after those around you because it is really important. You don't know what someone's going through, so just show a little bit of kindness. Look out for those around you because people need it. So, again, thank you very much to our amazing guests. Thank you to Kyle, my
CJ.
co-host. Thank you to everyone.
Thank
who's
you,
watching
Raph.
in the chat. Everyone who's watching on YouTube. Everyone who's listening on the podcast feed. You guys are all amazing, and we will be back next week on Thursday the 27th with Disgust for a very special Halloween episode. We're out of here.
Rock on,
Thank you very
people.
much.
Take it easy.
See you later.
See ya.